history, and general truth seeking. That said, my field is not a glamorous one and has been riddled with politics and corruption for many years, with very little resemblance in real life to what one finds on the big screen, such as with Indiana Jones movies. There is an exception, however, where reality seems to be symbolically portrayed during the
He says he's Indiana Jones.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, which closes out in a giant warehouse where the great archaeological treasures of mankind are stored, locked away, never to be seen again. This giant warehouse of historical relics possibly represent the underground vaults of the Vatican, which houses a great deal of old, forgotten books and ancient artifacts from antiquity, which only a select few have access to. Another institution that comes to mind is the Smithsonian Institute, which many in my field have discreetly accused of being involved in covering up many of the great secrets of Earth history, sealing the door on our imagination, broadly interpreting the past as devoid of anything unusual or mysterious, as characterized by many of the great cultures of the distant past. While the Bible speaks of giants roaming the earth, remote past, so do many other mythologies from around the world, as quoted by the Greek poet Homer in 400 BC, saying, "On the earth there once were giants," or is communicated by Native American tribes, who have a long oral tradition passed down concerning inhabitants with an unusually large.
Hey there, cat.
In fact, it was none other than President Abraham Lincoln who was quoted in 1848 as saying before Congress that, quote, "the eyes of that species of extinct giant, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as our eyes do now."
Oh, Abe.
What was this giant species Lincoln spoke of? A race many presume to be the tall, strong, and intellectually sophisticated.
Pretty chilly to hear this evening.
Well, we know that
although I'm expecting it to warm up this afternoon.
Many ancient burial mounds. And while digging, exploring, or legitimate testing in an anthropological context is forbidden these days, this was not always the case.
I've been lazing around napping most of my day.
Hundreds of giant humans have been discovered on U.S. soil and reported on in a variety of news outlets back before the media was
thick freezing fog and odd noise.
Time before mainstream archaeology came to subscribe the general public with Afrocentric view of prehistory. Generations prior, when Darwinian
what kind of noise you hearing?
Religious cult.
Is it buzzing on you? Is your sky buzzing?
Thought that some of the ancient earthworks were not built by the direct ancestors of modern native people living in the historical period, but rather were constructed in a more remote era, encompassing a different social order. They documented their findings in old diaries and letters, carefully written and compiled into pioneer history books, such as these.
Well, I'll bet.
Remains are occasionally unearthed, and from time to time, discoveries of the remains of Indian settlements are indicated by the appearance of gigantic skeletons with high cheekbones, powerful jaws, and massive.
Looks like we just took on a bit of a crunch.
The red man who left these as the only record with which to form clue the history of past ages. The history of Brown County, Ohio. Evidence for the occupation of this region before the appearance of the red man, the white race, can be found in almost every part of the county, as well as to the northwest generally.
The band is warming up, I guess.
Which are numerous. Did
you see this one?
Repair of roads and in excavating cellars. Hundreds of human skeletons, some of them of giant form, have been found. The citizens of Marion County estimates that there are about as many human skeletons in the knolls of Marion County as there are white inhabitants present. The history of Marion County, Ohio. During the colonial
not Marion County. The mound workers.
Much knowledge of the forgotten past is feasible to native sources.
You guys ever been there?
Some of it
in Sandusky, they got some in Sandusky County too. Some of the mounds.
Most of it went into record, which like the accumulation of earth and debris over ancient village sites, became buried in the musty stacks of old libraries, considered to have no real substance in the emerging field of Darwinian doctrine. Quote, the very early
Cheers. I'm having coffee at midnight.
Little to be read. The mound builders had occupied it and passed away, leaving
you got mounds down there too.
Little even tradition. These mounds were quite numerous. Excavation having revealed the
giants
of the mighty race. Samuel Miller, who has resided in the county since 1835, authority for the statement that one skeleton which he assisted in unearthing was a trifle more than 8 feet in length, the skull being correspondingly large, while many other skeletons were 7 feet. Historical Encyclopedia of Illinois and History of Lake County. James Wofford of Western Cherokee, who was born in Georgia in 1806, says that his grandmother, who must have been born about the middle of the last century, told him that she had heard from the police that long before her time, a party of giants had once come to visit the Cherokee.
I figured out how to move the pyramids.
Common men had their eyes.
We could probably move the pyramid as a whole unit.
Except that these giants lived far away.
Matter of fact,
the sun goes down.
If we were real good at it,
received them as friends, and they stayed some time, and then
I got to work a model for it, you know.
Selected by James. There were mounds situated in the eastern part of the village, and an extensive burying ground near the Presbyterian church. It appeared to have had no connection.
You capture it in the void. Just like
among the
planet is captured in a void. Then you roll your magnet and the fucking thing goes boom, right where you fucking want it.
To admit the head of ordinary man and jawbone that might have been fitted on over the face.
When I say I figured out the fucking secrets of the universe, I really mean it.
Burying ground referred to contained about 4 acres. And with the exception of a slight angle and conformity, the natural contour of the ground in the form of an oblong square.
No exaggeration here. We could probably move the entire pyramid.
And exhibited all the order, propriety, arrangement necessary.
I gave a working model on it. I showed it's the same one that planets,
although not
orbit
by the government.
You fucking interweave those fucking magnets and catch that shit in the fucking, and then boop, fucking roll that magnet, dude, and it'll go anywhere you tell it to. It's trapped in the void.
First inkling, very remote prehistory preserved for the tradition of Chippewa and Dusty.
I don't even know what to say. Thanks, Anunnaki. Now I know how.
Well, in this connection, I would say that Mr. Jonathan Brooks, now living in town, stated to me that his father, Benjamin Brooks, who lived in the Indians 14 years, and was well
just from them telling us how they trapped the planet. I figured that out. I was like, oh my God, we could move anything like that. Anything.
The whole country of the black bearded race. And subsequently, a red bearded race or tribe came and killed.
So you forgot more than you learned.
Many of these accounts have also been published in mainstream media. Let's take a look at some examples.
That's probably because they've had more years to work on you with programming.
One of the 3 recently discovered mounds in this town have been opened.
I was trying to discuss that with somebody earlier for the last 3 fucking hours about the saturation of lies and pandering and shit going on. It's unrecognizable to most people. Completely unrecognizable. They think, you know, oh, I'm going to go on and look at the Kabbalah. Well, you know, the Kabbalah is actually derived from the same thing the Bible's derived from, the cuneiform. Why would you take someone's twisted version of the original writings and go study that?
Licking County has been for years a favorite field for students of Indian history. There being here 2 old forts.
I'm at a loss. Because I wouldn't. I would go to the fucking source material and study that.
Today, further search was made. Several feet below the surface of the earth, a large vault.
Yeah, well, that's why I always say I'm the nun with the ruler. I'm looking for a knuckle to crack. That's how I teach. You should. No wonder you're here. I'm looking for that knuckle to crack. Bah! Motherfucker, go do your homework. I'm not going to do it for you. I already did. I literally already did. It's just all you got to do is push play.
Curiously wrought pipe.
Simple as that. What up, CH? How you doing?
Animals and birds. It is said to have been only engraved stone.
Yeah, this person had a list of everybody I've made a video about.
Much skill.
Telling me about how I don't have time to look at stuff.
The knife is a peculiar shape with a curved.
There's more on that sub list than I got on my video list.
Archaeology claim that it was the most valuable find ever made. Not one. This New York Times article.
But I mean, I don't know anybody else on any of those channels. Anybody else on these channel, any channel on YouTube that's offering money to prove them wrong. Except for one guy. Somebody brought me the guy. He ain't gave me my $10,000 yet though. I proved him wrong. I did that fucking 2 years ago. So it was easy. I took a video and said, dude, there you go.
The skull in question was only perfect. Near it was some abnormally large body bone.
So if I get 10 grand tomorrow, I'll be happy.
It was evidently a giant.
I bet you I'm blocked.
In 1904, the New York Times published this article.
That was about the moon. This guy, I don't even know. I think it was Daz's cousin.
They unearthed several skeletons of unusual size.
Oh, I'm not
the New York
nice.
Times reported on this find in 1902. Giant skeletons found. Archaeologists sent expeditions to cover graveyards where bodies were unearthed, owing to the discovery of the remains.
Now I truly am an asshole. I don't know.
Antiquarians and archaeologists.
I kind of like it.
An expedition to further explore that region.
It's just the way I am. No, I can be nice, but fucking. I don't like being nice. I like being factual. I feel, you know, my mom could be nice too in public. I don't like being nice. I like being real.
Based on the traditions handed down from early Spanish invasion that have detailed knowledge of the existence of a race of giants that inhabited the plains.
I look at being nice like you're putting on a plastic face.
The New York Times reported on
I don't like being nice.
This time, Professor Norris.
I like being as a matter of fact as I can. I try to speak clearly, and people will take it as anger. And I'm all like, well, I told the lady, I said, look, most of your time here on fucking YouTube is spent on fucking entertainment and this and that and everything. She came back, are you in pain? You just grumpy? I'm like, no. I'm telling you. I looked at your fucking list. Guess what my list consists of? A couple of documentary channels and the movie channel. Because I come here for what? I come here for entertainment. I sure as fuck don't do my research on YouTube. All right? I ain't saying nothing that I don't fucking do. I'm just saying. If you want to fucking learn the truth, you'll go to my motherfucking channel and look at it. That's all I was trying to tell the girl.
1796, according to the late.
I come here for entertainment or to work. I watch movies. I've been watching Robert Suffer all this. Is entertainment to me.
Soon after
this is my entertainment. This is how I entertain myself. I'll sit around and watch a documentary, or I'll click it onto a fucking zombie flick. That's what I do on YouTube. I don't try to badmouth anybody for doing that. I'm just pointing it out that that's what you do on fucking YouTube.
With massive skulls, reported as much larger than any race within North America. Sloping forehead, straight back directly for eye socket. The nasal bones protruding far back.
I love zombie movies too.
Jawbones were long, pointed.
I can't help it. Can't help it.
Smaller head, but with similar facial skeletons were embedded in charcoal.
Now, YouTube is good for referring to things like technical manuals and
New York Times headline.
Feral cell demonstrations. I find all kinds of demonstration models and stuff here. But as far as research goes, I do that on physics pages, on medical journals, and stuff like that. You can tell that because if you guys watch my videos, you see how I research. I don't come here. That's one of the last things I do.
Giant skulls over near a beach, 1930. This ancient giant skull, about twice the moon size, found in Victoria.
Well, you know, the dead in Christ, you know, eating flesh and all that, that sounds kind of zombie vampire-y to me, too. You know, I don't know. It kind of worries me.
Giant sized skulls found in Texas. Confirmation from the University of Texas. The large skull was.
Especially when you read canon and figure out who those motherfuckers are talking about. It's like, oh, damn. What the hell is this?
1947.
I was too. Look, as a kid, I'm sitting there. One of the first questions I remember having at Bible school was, how did Adam and Eve get kicked out of Eden into two cities that were fully built and named, but they were supposed to be built by their kids or something like that? I don't even remember the exact technicalities of it, but I do remember they got kicked out of the fucking garden into the two cities that were fully populated and built. And I'm like, well, how? And I've had people come at me and be like, no, their sons built that. And I'm like, Adon sin and fucking Cain got kicked the fuck out. Abel was dead and they had sin. They had a couple more kids. But nobody could ever answer to me how that happened because it didn't make any sense. Well, then I went to cuneiform and I was like, oh my God. Ding, ding.
Article 1993 edition of the Sun reports 8 or 9 feet.
You had done something wrong and you thought God was going to hate you. And yeah, I grew up like that too. It sucked. It fucking sucked.
The mound itself 12 feet tall and about 100 feet long.
Yeah, that was just the first part of the story I had a problem with. You know, now all of a sudden Abraham's over here trying to kill his kid. I'm like, God wants to kill everybody. There's a lot of violence and God, violent motherfucker in the Bible, man. Killing everybody, smiting motherfuckers left and right. I was like, damn. And then I had enough of that. I went and read the Quran and found out it's the same damn book, but they did leave a lot of the murders by God out. That's the funny thing. They are a little bit less violent book. Technically, I've read them both.
Gives up the bones for each race. Cave containing some 200 skeletons of men. Each of them.
You accidentally committed it. I'm sure I did. at least a dozen times. At least accidentally a dozen times. Maybe once on purpose. I don't know. Not even sure what the unforgivable sin is. There's a lot of debate over that. It's like you don't even know what for thousands of years nobody even knows what the unforgivable sin is. How do you deal with that? You know, it's like, wait a minute. You're going to tell me I can be unforgiven for doing a sin? You got to at least tell me what the fuck that is, please. Abnormal in dimension. Yeah, there's a lot of that in all these world religions. And they get answered. They got answered recently.
While many articles claim that the skeletons were shipped to various museums, they cannot be accounted for and seem to have simply vanished sometime after the publication. One cannot simply
fabrications. I'm sure I just butchered that.
Many of the articles mention established doctors.
Good morning. It's about midnight here. I'm drinking coffee with y'all. I slept half the damn day. I pigged out. We had a big old feast, and then I took a nap. I'm still full. Burping full. It's been a good day. Hope y'all had a good day, too.
His fortune to nephew James Henry Hungerford.
I slept a lot.
If this man died without an heir, the remainder of the fortune would go to the United States.
I didn't give it to you. I'll tell you what, I didn't have any hope either. Elvira, I had given up on God. I had given up on trying to please God or even try to find God. And
unfortunately,
it was kind of forced on me by God. He said, look, I'm right here. And I was like, oh, damn. I've been looking everywhere I shouldn't have been.
Not
in books.
1882, after some 36 years of growth.
Yeah, it ain't my fault. I wasn't even looking for God or any hope. I was just trying to find out what the fuck was going on for sure, trying to help people understand that we were on our side.
Despite the evidence ancient races,
our government wanted you dead. I had problems with it. This is
not restricted to those of gigantic proportions, but include pre-Columbian civilization.
And then all of a sudden, this whole hieroglyph thing came along.
Such as Phoenician, Egyptian, Hebraic, Greek.
Who do you think was more surprised than me when I started reading these things? I had never looked at them. Then all of a sudden, everyone I was looking at, I could tell what they were trying to tell us.
Not in alignment with growing
very clearly.
Developed the modern Afrocentric fairy tale, demanding a strictly African hypothesized origin, or supposed simian cradle.
Well, I deciphered like a dozen of them so far. I'm
needless to say,
I haven't even been working on them lately. Just been
one that has affected decision making right
doing this, listening to the fucking all kinds of shit because it all ties in.
Such as myself,
right to the fucking Rome.
Accredited university, yet were censored, deplatformed, suppressed, and outright banned from many mainstream platforms, even those in what are considered fringe or
too cold to get up.
My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist.
Fuck.
You can find my published book on Amazon.
Fucking little gnats flying around. Trying to drink my coffee.
Support me on Patreon.
I got one stuck in
there. There should
there.
be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. Please hit the like button.
It's chilly down here too, but I've warmed it up a little bit already. I've been working a little bit.
I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. Throughout the history of North America, tales abound of discovery of the remains of abnormally large.
Well, I'm glad it lit a fire under you. I'd never been looking at them. It lit a fire under me too. I was like, well, I'll be damned. Look at that.
I provided close
it was the last
1800. from sources
fucking thing I ever expected to happen. And the funny thing is, it was Relentless Maverick's fault. Him and his girlfriend Butterfly. He hates me. They're the one that put that fucking. He's the one. Have you seen the WSO interview? He put that hieroglyph in there. I almost shit my pants. I think it did a little bit.
An hour by ferry is known by many.
What the fuck? Oh my god!
Population over
4,000. Yeah, that was a day.
By Spain,
I'll never forget.
And later it passed into possession of Mexico, and after that to the United States, and eventually turned into a tourist resort in the 1920s by the tycoon.
I was so mad at Steve the next day for putting on blue Kool-Aid and talking about Palladian planets. I was so mad at him.
Visited by vacationers from nearby Los Angeles, which lies only about an hour ride away. There's another odd facet of the island's history.
Yeah, you know.
Historical claims report that Ralph
I was pissed because he wouldn't let me explain how I did it. I knew Raw on the tunic and all that shit.
He is said to have excavated more than 800 secret grave sites.
I was going to give Raw Matt the next day on Steve and explain how that was done and what I'd seen and all that stuff, and he didn't allow it.
That giant and fair-haired race, with adult males measuring 7 to 9 feet in height, once inhabited Santa Catalina and its adjacent islands. In the Ogden Standard Examiner, November 10th, 1929.
Good luck, Cat. Try not to freeze.
Overwhelming fair skin, fair hair.
It is winter. You gotta get used to it, I think.
Off the southwestern coast of California, perhaps 3,000 years ago, and that
I've still got a good half a pot to go here.
Domesticated utensils, urns,
real close to temperature.
Quite out of the ordinary class Indian discovery. A skeleton of a young girl, evidently of high rank, within a large funeral urn.
Yeah, I don't function well when it's cold either.
64 children, and in various
even with coffee.
More than 3,000 other skeletons were found.
Even with coffee, I don't do it well.
Around 7 feet in height, one being 7 feet 8 inches from the top of his head to his ankle.
I remember one time when I was a kid.
2 inches tall. There are other similar.
I never really liked the snow. It was cold, but we got that blizzard in '78. Fucking, we dig. The whole house was fucking covered with snow and shit, man. We dig tunnels all the way through the yard.
Santa Rosa Island. Arlington Springs Archaeological Site is protected, and as usual, independent investigation.
He was 1 and 7. Oh,
but the man who excavated the remains in 1959 is the late Phil C. Ward, curator of anthropology and paleontology at Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History. And he claims
it was a good snow.
Inhabited the island, stating that he believed
I was living in
at the time,
I was in Ohio, middle of Ohio, up by the snow belt up there that year when that blizzard came through. My grandmother's house was buried.
Or realized that for a 37 feet below the existing ground surface came from sediments dated under the place.
I graduated from Galleon. My dad owned, co-owned Amtex Oil down in Canton.
And their initial results indicated that the Arlington Springs man
when I was a kid
was actually the Arlington Springs woman, with radiocarbon dating determining the date of the remains 13,000 years. These remains represented the oldest reliably dated human bone in the Americas. That said,
I don't have any.
Gender assessment.
Just the ones up here. I don't have any pictures. I got a couple of my kids.
And the name Arlington Springs man reinstated. During the last ice age, 4 northern Channel Islands were held together as one mega island, Santa Rosa, as the sea levels were much lower, but not so much that the island was connected to the mainland. indicating that the Ice Age people.
But you was only one. You couldn't enjoy it.
Crossing the Santa Barbara Channel, which also
it was fucking nuts. I remember I was a fucking kid, man. I was like 10. Fucking jump off. I could climb the fucking snow up to the roof of the house.
Channel Islands are amazing for the discoveries, archaeological, historical, ecological, biological, that they've produced over the last 150 years of scientific investigation. One of the wonderful things about the Channel Islands is that there are no burrowing animals. There's no gophers, there's no ground squirrels, there's no earthworms, there's no termites, nothing that's churning those deposits. And so for an archaeologist and a geologist,
people died.
It's just a wonderful record. Because
I remember my uncle was a cop. He got off the road and was buried. The only reason we found him, because we was literally, my dad and I was 10. I was helping him with the truck because we was literally digging with snow shovels our way from our house to my grandmother's house, about 5 miles, to get her, because she had lost her electric and we had wood heat. She didn't. So we literally hand dug through fucking huge drifts to get to her. And we found my uncle because his police cruiser was buried in the snow. The snow was lighting up red and blue.
In 1941.
It's the only reason we found him. And we was on our, he got lost on the way to grandma's. Never showed up. We found his ass in a snowbank. So we saved both their asses and got home again. I was glad Uncle Richard, we found him, because he helped Dad shovel from that point on. I was cold. I was only 10. You know?
Really off the ball, wild.
He was 20.
Bill Orr used some techniques by today's standards that would be not approved, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. I'll never forget it. It was a hell of a snow that year.
And pygmy mammoths were together on the island at the same time, and that led him to look very deep in the deposits, much deeper than we usually find archaeological sites.
Yeah, my uncle was the chief of police out there in Ontario, Ohio, for a while. I tried to join the police force, but I was overqualified.
Got fired down. They were extricating me, looked up, saw this femur.
I scored too high on the ASVAB.
And carefully scraped around it, exposed the whole profile to show that, in fact, it was intact in an ancient arroyo that had later filled it.
That's when I started
two human
fighting against the policy. That's how I found the policy, where police were low IQ only, upheld by the, because I was going to sue them. The Supreme Court said it's fine, man, hire nothing but low IQ to the fucking cops. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I saw right away that was a problem.
The leading archaeologists, and they came out here, and they were very critical. You know, they weren't necessarily going to buy into this, but they all agreed that the Arlington bone was
good idea
in an original sediment layer. It wasn't the result of
be saving as much food as I can get my hands on. What's up, man?
Because in those days,
yay, cat!
would have consumed all of the bone problems with bone protein.
Congratulations! Half the job's done now.
Nearby the bone, which he radiocarbon dated to about 10,000 years ago. And so, what Bill Orr did was the smart thing. He wrapped the original soil matrix containing bone, wrapped it in a plastic bag, and removed it here to the mainland. 1987, I was just newly hired at the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, and this archaeologist from Channel Islands National Park, who I'd met once or twice, he came to me and he says, "John, I understand you have a block of earth stored there at the museum."
I don't know if we're so screwed or not.
Of Arlington Springs, man.
I'm pretty convinced we're going to be okay.
1960. I said, "Well, I see something in the basement covered with plastic."
It's just going to be one hell of a test of endurance.
I didn't know anything about it. If you let me down
here,
sub-base, the catacomb.
As I recall, you
kill your programming. Kill your program.
We find the clock. Christmas. So we opened up that plastic jacket, and there were the bones exactly as Bill Orr had removed them. We located an expert in radiocarbon dating, and that was Dr. Thomas Stafford. I sent him the sample, and a little while later.
I mean, if there was ever a reason for human beings to exist,
and so
this would be a real good one. The physics of it kind of dictates that we need to be here.
North America. And our jaws kind of dropped. Lo and behold, these bones were at least 13,000 years old.
And that's really significant because that's the same age as Clovis. And Clovis is basically, or was thought for a long time, to be the first American culture.
No, I've heard there are some people that are doing shit like that, and I appreciate them doing it.
And then it got national attention.
But it's kind of odd to have a Clovis age skeleton.
Good. Adults should be able to decide if they want to fucking go out to eat or not.
Colonization or coastal adaptation existed in the New World.
I hope that place is busy as fuck.
The idea was that there was an ice-free corridor in the center of North America that led people down this sort of funnel-shaped tunnel from Alaska to the center of North America. People only gradually
nice cat.
The coast over the
good. That shows people are fucking tired of being told what to do at this fucking juncture. As far as the U.S. goes, legally, we're fucked. They literally could come into my house and tell me to make 1 million widgets by the end of the month, and I'd have to make widgets.
This connects with the whole idea of a coastal migration, an ancient coastal migration, where people would have been using watercraft.
And it's because that's what we allow.
And working their way.
If they come into my house talking about you got to make a bunch of widgets, I'd be like, I can't make widgets. I don't know how to do that.
Learn what to look for. I personally
that sure as fuck ain't going through training to learn how to make a widget.
Lies offshore, the parts of this island that have been submerged. So there's a lot out there, and I think we're just getting started.
Good.
My name is Robert Stepper.
Good to hear.
Anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you so very much to those who
support. Good. I like hearing that.
We appreciate it.
They shouldn't enforce a curse. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
You found it informative. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Notification bell for future updates.
Glad to hear it.
I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a wonderful week.
Hope
to see you again.
I miss my stomping ground.
It's a nice sunny
day. You ever go down to Venice Beach?
Got me thinking about long lost civilization.
Do you know Gary G down there on Venice Beach? On the boardwalk? By any chance?
And reduced to fiction in Disney. This wasn't always the case, however, as before World War II, it was still acceptable to speculate about what ancient civilizations may have existed and how they came about. One forgotten example is Augustus Leigh Pongium.
Good.
He was a photographer,
on both counts, on all counts,
an author who studied the pre-Columbian ruins of America, particularly those of the Maya civilization on the northern Yucatan Peninsula. He was also a Freemason, and
I'm trying to think of the store, his store name. I know his name. I can't think of his store name.
Madame Helena Blavatsky drew upon his research for her own theory. His work also influenced Manly P. Hall, the famous occultist, who was a proponent
crusader
of Pongium's archaeology and even purchased his collection of photos taken on site in the Yucatan.
Yeah, I know him too.
I
know who you're talking about.
Atlantis, the antediluvian world, also championed the work.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking limiting people getting together is fucking ridiculous.
Believed that the Maya sites in Yucatan were the remnants.
There's Zorro down there. I know everybody's name. I can't think of their store names.
Traveling east, first to Atlantis and later to ancient Egypt. He also discovered that the
symbols of Freemasonry could be traced to the ancient Maya, and that this ancient knowledge.
Gary G is a smoke shop inside a bikini store down there at the end of Venice Boulevard towards Malibu. He's almost the last store on the boardwalk, actually. He's got big fucking bongs out front and shit. And you got to go back into the fucking bikini shop to buy, and he's got some nice heady shit. He's also a record producer and all that shit. His name's Gary G. If you run into him, and you'll know you ran into Gary G, tell him Catfish said hi. He's a friend of mine. And I can't for the life of me think of the name of his store right now. But if you know Cosmic, I'm sure you probably know Gary G. Or have been in his store anyway.
That said, few archaeologists were willing to entertain the idea of a pre-Mayan civilization, which may have originated in what is now a submerged landmass, as sea levels were 3 to 4
Oh yeah,
feet lower
Venice. Yeah, it is actually.
Or the late Pleistocene.
I agree. I hated trying to find parking down there.
Oceans would look like, with hundreds of feet of water removed, trapped as ice in glaciers elsewhere, such as covering Europe during the Ice Age. Then islands.
You're out there by Bell Mountain, aren't you?
And Hawaii and the Pacific would be mountaintops, much larger areas of dry land above the ancient sea level. This controversial translation of an ancient Mayan is part of the famous collection of late Pelagion Mexican codex known as the Toronto Manuscript, which can be seen in the British Museum. Quote, in the year of 6 Khan, on the 11
he's a cool kid.
There occurred terrific earthquakes.
I've always dealt with him for years, and he sold the fuck out of my headies a lot. I go down there once every other week with just 2 full cases of heady pieces. We'd roll up, pull in the parking lot, go over there, sell all my glass to Gary G, and go out and play on the beach all day. Me and Seamus. Oh, you're under Big Bear. Jesus Christ, what the fuck are you doing there? You do realize that you're fucking shaking like a motherfucker, right?
They sank with their 64 million inhabitants, 8,000 years right. While his translations and interpretations have been challenged, they plunge on.
So what's it like sitting on a caldera that's
belief system of ancient Mesoamerican civilization
doing that number?
And those of others from ancient Egyptians.
You're talking about Big Bear? What are you doing?
How similar many histories are. How closely bonded people and communities are, no matter how distant they are. Time. Regardless,
I used to live in Fresno.
Accepted that the Maya civilization post-dated ancient Egypt.
Yeah, when I saw the moon on it,
stood by his theories, and for this
I was like, all right, we gotta get the fuck out of here.
Unfortunately, it's not practical to explore. And so very mainstream.
I have an awful lot of friends. They're still there.
Remembered as Atlantic.
It's exciting, she said. Oh, dear God.
That keeps such ideas suppressed in modern times is one.
Well, like I always say, it looks like a lot more excitement than I want to have.
Ancient merged continent.
One of my favorite spots in the world is Mono. I fucking love Mono Hot Springs. I love the fucking area.
Quote, the dominant race in the land of Mu was a white race. Exceedingly handsome people. Clear white or olive skin. Besides this white race, there were other races. They, however, did not dominate.
Checking this wall.
The white race of Mu colonized all of Europe.
Have a seat first, cat.
For this, he quoted the Ramayana and followed Lepanjian in asserting that the Maya appeared in that epic of the Mexican Maya, and therefore there's an ancient Aryan origin for both. In modern anthropology, fusionist concepts are not permitted, unless the theory is egalitarian, meaning everything and everyone is perfectly equal and spontaneously started out at the same time in an equal way, it is not accepted.
Well, I hope you don't plan on pulling a Woody.
Then it is not only accepted, but celebrated.
Sitting here watching the fireball come at you.
National grant award, regardless of genetic or archaeological evidence to the contrary. My name is Robert Stepper.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite spots on the planet.
Find my published books on Amazon.
It is magic.
Very great gift.
All over their place. I'm very sad I'll never see it again.
For those interested, kindly share this video.
I used to, man. I used to live in Mona. I mean, you could stay there for 2 weeks at a time in one spot, and then all you had to do is move another 100 yards, and you could spend their 2 weeks there. And I had a 32-foot RV, man. I was all up and down that motherfucking mountain.
I thought I would take a little break from anthropology this weekend by catching a hockey game.
There's a lot of crazy energy there. Absolutely. I've stayed for weeks and weeks there, though. It's fucking beautiful. I like I said, I had a 32-foot fucking rig. I was out there all the time.
Canary Islands are located.
I'd wake up, take my towel, my fucking bubblers, and weed down to the Little Eden every morning about sunrise and watch the sun come up over the hills and the big fucking what are the hummingbirds and shit that fucking sputter and sput because they're so fucking fat. It looked like apples with little wings. I was like, Jesus, like, that motherfucker's big. How's he hovering right over here? And they come and hover at you and look at you as you're looking at them. It's fucking beautiful, man. Sit there and watch the sun come up and watch it set over the other horizon, never move. You get out, motherfucker, in the evening, you're the prune.
One of the most important tourist.
Oh my God, I used to love just there.
1496, when the island was officially conquered. The Aboriginal inhabitants were called Guanche, which literally means person of Tenerife.
Mono, the place to be.
And their European allies, crushing defeat in their first major battle.
Yeah, Topaz, Mirror Lake out there too. We used to go out to Yosemite and shit and hang out. Angels Falls, Bass Lake, all them wonderful places
many
out
of
there.
the surviving women intermarrying colonists as they were regarded as extremely beautiful, attractive, desirable. Genetically speaking, native Aboriginal population.
I've missed it. Seamus has missed it. I mean, we were never home.
Confirmed by data, genome-wide testing in 2017.
Yeah, it is a trip, isn't it?
Much of the population is
Makes you wonder what's under that.
But by the mummies they left by their ruling class. Population demographics change, and the ethnic makeup is somewhere today.
You know, as you're coming down the 5 right there, out of the pass, and you're heading into LA, and there's that Castaic Lake right there. There's a little RV spot right there that has a fucking hot tub. It used to only cost $20 a night. Let me tell you, that was my go-to spot in LA right there. I used to always be in that fucking campground, man. And I used to never go to campgrounds, but I was like $20 a night. I'm whirlpooling it.
We are in a burial cave in the cemetery of ancient Canary Island. Collective burial. They regularly.
I can't go back to Cali.
Bury their dead.
Nope. I'm warning people to get the fuck out of there. What would I be heading? Fuck out of California.
We're talking about a human collective burial that represents the entire. We have men.
Go on an extended vacation.
Different ages represented, including many children. In addition to the skeletal remains that we're finding, we also find the remains of the raft which they are buried with. In this location, we have deposits, minimum number of 65 individuals. The site is unique.
What the fuck? That's Concord something.
Reminds us
Concord
of
cookies.
who we are.
Over my grape pie. Oh, this shit just grabs you.
Human remains are in exceptional condition, and most important,
I need to put this
shows
thing in
human collaboration.
box.
It is imperative that we continue to invite people who want to participate and provide archaeological assistance. And special attention to conservation. And so it is important that people participate, collaborate, and feel that it's all about our responsibility to conserve our heritage, protect it, in addition to learning from it. Blanches were the last known Caucasian type
part of that.
still living in the Stone Age when they were conquered by the Spanish, as the island had no metal and the Blanches had no boat. In fact, they seemed to have a distinct fear of the water and lived on Tenerife only, not even traveling to other islands in the archipelago. That said, DNA sequencing of Cro-Magnon types conclude that they were genetically identical to certain modern European demographics. Would you like to guess which one? The museum on Tenerife boasts the largest collection of Cro-Magnon skulls anywhere in the world, and the Guanches, the original natives of the Canary Islands, were direct descendants of Cro-Magnon, which in my book, Species with Amnesia, I explain is the origin of Rh-negative blood type, which incidentally is not a mutation. I'll include a link in the description to a video I did on this subject, which covers it in detail. In other relatively recent news, sub-Saharan West Africans have been shown to have DNA from what the media is calling a ghost species, not found in Europeans or East Asians. They use the term ghost because it shows up genetically in sequenced DNA, but they have yet to conclusively identify the hominin species in the fossil record, only saying that it appears to be very archaic, the term meaning old, or a very distant ancestor. Technically another species like Homo erectus, and unlike Cro-Magnon, which is considered fully modern, and first shows up in the fossil and genetic records about 35,000 years ago during the Ice Age. My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you to those who support me on Patreon. There should be a link below in the description if you're interested. Kindly share this video if you found it informative and hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section as always. Please have a wonderful weekend.
You never answered.
See you again soon. This singing technique, called culling, is an ancient Frisian herding call that was used by women long ago to call home the cows and goats back to the farm in the evening. The Frisians are a Germanic ethnic group indigenous to the coastal parts of the Netherlands, Scandinavia, and northwestern Germany. They inhabit an area known as Frisia and are concentrated in the Dutch provinces and in Germany, especially the areas which were part of Denmark until 1864. The Frisian languages are still spoken by more than 500,000 people in parts of the Netherlands and Germany. DNA studies have indicated that many Frisians were part of a wave of ethnic groups to colonize areas of present-day England, starting from and around the 5th century and as far north as Scotland. But who were the Frisians, culturally, and what were their origins? While there isn't much data to be found in the anthropology departments of any modern-day university, especially after World War II, there is a rich history contained in myths and legends, particularly stemming from a once popular text known as the Oera Linda book. The manuscript came to light in 1867 when someone from the Linden family, who claimed to have inherited the book from his grandfather, decided to have it translated and published, which happened in Dutch in 1872 and then in English in 1876. The book was a hit amongst occultists and in secret society, but was largely denounced by most mainstream historians as a forgery. Keep in mind that the word forgery is defined as a copied document rather than false information, and is often used to discredit data that certain groups do not want made public, without challenging the validity of the data itself. I'll present the information here and allow the viewer to make up their own mind on the matter. The text alleges that Europe and other lands were, for a large part of their history, ruled by a succession of folk mothers presiding over hierarchical orders of celibate priestesses dedicated to the goddess Freya, daughter of the creator goddess or Earth Mother. The earliest portion of the Oera Linda book was allegedly composed in the year 2194 BC and likely compiled in the 6th century BC from a mixture of contemporary writings and ancient inscriptions. It also describes a lost land called Atlant and supposedly submerged in 2194 BC, which the 17th century Swedish scholar Olof Rudbeck attributes to Atlantis. But I don't agree with his assessment and would argue that Atlant refers to the old land and alludes to either Frisland, a phantom island that appeared on virtually all of the maps of the North Atlantic from 1560s through the 1660s, just south of Greenland, a landmass that was entirely separate from Iceland. Some claim is now submerged, while others say it was a cartographic mistake and never existed. Or what remains of Dogger Bank, or Doggerland, an area now submerged beneath the southern North Sea that once connected Britain to continental Europe. I'm of the opinion that the Atlantis Plato describes not only predates the dates of the cataclysms in the Oera Linda book by many millennia, but was likely near the Azores in the Atlantic, the ocean named after it, or as Herodotus refers to the sea beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Sea of Atlantis. While the book is too long for me to cover in its entirety, translated versions are available online for free for those who are interested. While there are many chapters that I found interesting, I will now read an excerpt from one called How the Bad Times Came. To make it easier to understand, I'll replace the term Twiskland with Germany, as I believe that's the general geographic area it's referring to. Quote, during the whole summer, the sun had been hid behind the clouds, as if unwilling to look upon the earth. There was perpetual calm, and the damp mist hung like a wet sail over the houses and the marshes. The air was heavy and oppressive, and in men's hearts was neither joy nor cheerfulness. In the midst of this stillness, the earth began to tremble as if she was dying. The mountains opened to vomit forth fire and flames. Some sank into the bosom of the earth, and in other places, mountains rose out of the plain. Old land, called by the seafaring people Atland, disappeared, and the wild waves rose so high over the hill and dale that everything was buried in the sea.
I was too quick.
Many people were swallowed up by the earth, and others who had escaped the fire perished in the water. It was not only in Finda's land that the earth vomited fire, but also in Germany. Whole forests were burned one after the other, and when the wind blew from that quarter, our land was covered with ashes. Rivers changed their course, and at their mouths, new islands were formed of sand and drift. During 3 years this continued, but at length it ceased, and forests became visible. Many countries were submerged, and in other places land rose above the sea, and the wood was destroyed through the half of Germany. Troops of Finda's people came and settled in the empty places. Our dispersed people were exterminated or made slaves. The watchfulness was doubly impressed upon us, and time taught us that
that's just the handle.
Is force. End quote.
I'm going to make the other part to it that goes there. And then I'll put the mic on it.
While largely forgotten in the post-World War II era, some scholars consider the book to reveal the genuine truth about the ancient European megalithic culture, even connecting the pagan religious practices of the priestesses described in the book with later medieval witchcraft tradition. The claim is also made that this Frisian civilization possessed an alphabet that was the ancestor of the
splitting the state.
Alphabet. I will now go ahead and read another excerpt which speaks to the political nature of the book, mainly that it
they was talking about that before I left.
Hail to the true Frisian. Quote, in the olden times, the Slavonic race knew nothing of liberty. They were brought under the yoke like oxen. They were driven into the bowels of the earth to dig metals, and had to build houses of stone as dwelling places for princes and priests. Of all that they did came nothing to themselves. Everything was served to enrich and make more powerful the priests and the princes, and to satisfy them. Under this treatment, they grew gray and old before their time, and died without any enjoyment, although the earth produces abundantly for the good of all of her children. But our runaways and exiles came through Twistland or Germany to their boundaries. Our sailors came to their harbors. From them they heard of liberty, of justice, of laws, without which men can't exist. This was all absorbed by the unhappy people, and like dew into an arid soil. When they fully understood this, the most courageous men of them began to clank their chains, which grieved the princes. The princes are proud and warlike. There is therefore some virtue in their hearts. They consulted together and bestowed some of their superfluity, but the cowardly, hypocritical priests could not suffer this. Among their false gods they had invented also wicked, cruel monsters. Pestilence broke out in the country, and they said that the gods were angry with the domineering of the wicked. Then the boldest of the people were strangled in their chains. The earth drank their blood, and that blood produced corn and fruits that inspired with wisdom those who ate them. End quote. It is interesting to note that the term slave has its origins in the word Slav. The Slavs, who inhabited a large part of Eastern Europe, were taken as slaves by the Muslims of Spain during the 9th century AD, and if this manuscript is to be believed, likely endured similar hardships long before the Islamic invasion of Europe by the Moors. The word Moor, incidentally, comes from the Greek moros, meaning inhabitants of Mauritania, the region that stretches from central present-day Algeria westward to the Atlantic, covering northern Morocco and southward to the Atlas Mountains, inhabited by Amazighs, who are better known as Berbers, and are not sub-Saharan Africans, despite the overwhelming amount of Afrocentric revisionism that pollutes the internet and even academia these days. This is what Moors look like. While North Africa is attached to the African continent, it is more importantly part of the Mediterranean and separated from sub-Saharan Africa by the Saharan Desert, which is about 3.5 million square miles, comparable to the area of China or the United States. That said, the indigenous Stone Age people of the Canary Islands, right off the western coast of West Africa, called Guanches, who were still living in the Stone Age when exterminated by the Spanish around 500 years ago, were tall, Caucasian, and blonde or redheaded, as can be seen by the mummies they left behind. much like the mummies of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, were genetically closer to modern-day Europeans or people of the Middle East than modern Egyptians, who have undergone centuries or millennia of interracial mixing and cultural degradation, resembling ancient Egypt in name only. The same is true for Ethiopia, which many people seem to have a hard time understanding is not the same demographic as it was in biblical times, just as modern India is not the same India as when Sanskrit was introduced by Aryans thousands of years ago. And Western China hardly reflects what it was during this time of 4,000-year-old Aryan mummies that built the pyramids there that modern communist Chinese government still tries hard to conceal, just as the U.S. government tries to conceal the true history of what are referred to as Native Americans. And likewise, the Era Linda book has been suppressed, probably because it exposes a history that is different from the current banker finance, media enforced, globalist, cultural Marxist narrative that we have all been brought up with, a political agenda designed to erode a sense of nation, race, gender, community, or family, and therefore resistance. My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you so much to those who support me on Patreon.
Right,
There should be a link below. Please share this video. Please hit the like button. Kindly don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell for updates. I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you again soon.
When ancient Egypt is mentioned, most people think of Pharaoh, but there are many Egyptian mysteries that stretch back into pre-dynastic times, with underground secrets that predate the first Egyptian pharaoh and the pyramids themselves. In fact, numerous ancient writers wrote about multi-leveled underground cities beneath the pyramids and surrounding areas. Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, who is known as the father of history, described an impressive labyrinth that just contained thousands of rooms full of hieroglyphs and paintings, as well as an equal number of subterranean chambers, heavily guarded.
They don't want us to see because that's where we were. That was our shit
Herodotus wrote about the
before they
mysterious
came in.
labyrinth, saying, "This I've actually seen, a work beyond words, for if anyone put together the buildings of the Greeks and display of their labor, they would seem lesser in both effort and expense to this labyrinth. Even the pyramids are beyond words, and each was equal to many and mighty works of the Greeks. Yet the labyrinth surpasses even the pyramid. There I saw 12 palaces regularly disposed, which had communication with each other, interspersed
The
with terraces
Osiron,
and arranged
the
around 12
labyrinth,
halls.
all that shit's
It was
fucking
hard to believe
lost.
they are the work of man. The walls are covered with carved figures, and each court is exquisitely built with white
Underwater.
marble and surrounded by a
Underwater. They got it
Here at the
underwater.
corner where the labyrinth ends, there was a pyramid, 240 feet in height, with great carved figures of animals on it, and an underground passage by which it can be entered. I was told very credibly that underground chambers and passages connected this pyramid to the pyramid at Memphis. Many other writers supported what Herodotus had written. One of them was Iamblichus of Apamea, a Syrian Neoplatonist philosopher who recorded in ancient times unprecedented information about an entrance to the Great Pyramid of Giza, leading directly from inside the body of the Sphinx. This entrance, obstructed in our day by sands and rubbish, may still be traced between the forelegs of the crouched colossus. It was formerly closed by a bronze gate whose secret spring could be opened only by the Magi. It was guarded by public respect, and a sort of religious fear maintained its inviolability better than armed protection would have done. In the belly of the Sphinx were cut out galleries leading to the subterranean part of the Great Pyramid. Iamblichus further explained that the historic galleries were artfully decorated along their course towards the pyramid. If one were to travel into the passages without a guide, they'd inevitably return to the starting point. It's not clear whether the Egyptian temple was described as a labyrinth simply because it was so huge and so complex that one could easily become lost, or whether it was intentionally designed as a maze where one had to find their own way through it. Ancient Greek historian Strabo also claimed to have visited the temple and wrote in his book, before the entrances there lie what may be called hidden chambers, which are long and many in number and have paths running through one another, which twist and turn so that no one can enter or leave any course without a guide. Another Greek philosopher by the name of Crancer of the Old Academy, probably born around the middle of the 4th century BC, supported the writings made by Herodotus. Francis suggested that there was an intricate set of underground pillars set to contain written stone records of prehistoric events. Greek historian Theodorus Siculus, 1st century BC, gives one of the most colorful descriptions. When one had entered the sacred enclosure, one found a temple surrounded by columns, 40 to each side, and this building had a roof made of a single stone, carved with panels and richly adorned with excellent paintings. It contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings, as well as the temples and sacrifices carried out in it, all skillfully worked in paintings of the greatest beauty. Furthermore, writings of the 1st century Roman historian Pliny the Elder suggest that there were concealed chambers directly beneath the Great Sphinx of Giza. Pliny wrote about the existence of a tomb belonging to a ruler called Harmachis. Interestingly, it is believed that the Great Sphinx was once called the Great Sphinx Harmachis, who mounted guard since the time of the followers of Horus. More evidence is found in the manuscript documented by Arab writer Altil M. Sani and preserved in the British Museum. He documented the existence of an extensive square underground chamber located below ground, between the Great Pyramid and the Nile River, saying that there was something enormous blocking the entrance. Altil M. Sani wrote, in the days of Ahmed Ben Tulun, a party entered the Great Pyramid through the tunnel and found in a side chamber a goblet of a glass of rare color and texture. As they were leaving, they missed one of the party. Upon returning to seek him, he came out to them, naked and laughing, said, "Do not follow or seek for me," and then rushed back into the pyramid. His friends perceived that he was enchanted. Upon learning about strange happenings under the pyramid, Ahmed Ben Tulun expressed a desire to see the goblet of glass. During the examination, it was filled with water and weighed, then emptied and reweighed. The historian wrote that it was found to be of the same weight when empty as when full of water.
For something so ancient, Egypt's mysteries, the stuff we've seen in movies and books, pyramids, tombs, things, it never seems to stop amazing the modern mind, right? Well, there's new research now that's suggesting that there may be some new discoveries still to be made, maybe underground, right? Is this the real riddle of the space?
The study of the majesty of ancient Egypt goes back to the founding of Western science and archaeology. And while most of the major monuments along the Nile have been found and explored, there is no shortage of strange theories about their origins. Take for example the space. New research suggests there's a secret tunnel underneath the statue connecting it to one of Egypt's largest pyramids.
And most of the students I was confused with, I was in a student to work on the same thing with the writing on my most report, the guy who excavated the thing in the 1822. And on that theory, we've got pictures of the thing, but on those pictures, they've got a something on the thing, and underneath it looks like a doorway.
So where is this that coming from? According to mass fiction, it's coming from within academic circles. And that's despite 3,000 years of scientific discovery.
The thing with consensus is the official word is the missing in the thing.
So, the controversial theories with evidence to support them, they exist to science, or academics, or tourist agendas. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Joseph Ricci, RT.
Interestingly, during the 10th century, a writer by the name of Saudi claimed that advanced mechanical statues were guardians of the subterranean galleries located under the Great Pyramid of Giza. He wrote, "Written accounts of wisdom and acquirements in the different arts and sciences were hidden deep, that they may remain as records for the benefit of those who could afterwards comprehend them." This reminded me of the Hall of Records referred to by Edgar Cayce, who once said an ancient library exists under the Great Sphinx of Giza, built by the survivors of Atlantis. Edgar Cayce was a self-professed clairvoyant who answered questions on subjects while in a trance state. When asked about the time near the end of the days of Atlantean, Cayce explained, "There came the first aggressive people to the Pyrenees and into what later became the Egyptian dynasty." While I can't speak to Edgar Cayce's psychic ability, I can say that I found the genetic affinities interesting between the ancient Basques, which are the people who live on the Pyrenees between France and Spain, where Cro-Magnon was discovered, and who are among the highest percentage of Rh negative people in the world, and the North African Caucasian natives, such as the Berber tribes who live near Mount Atlas, as well as the Caucasian natives called Guanches on the islands off the west coast of Africa in the Atlantic, called the Canary Islands, who also left mummies and small stone pyramids. For those interested, I did a video on this, which I will include a link to in the description. My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you so very much to those of you who support me on Patreon. There should be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell for future updates. I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. Despite what most people are taught, Germany is still a place of great mystery, and by that I mean the history and origins of the Germanic people. While some might not agree with that statement, satisfied with the state-funded education they receive in school, I would argue that what passes for education today, especially history taught after World War II, is little more than politically motivated propaganda, half-truth, and in many cases, lies by omission. In today's episode, we'll examine another obscure story from 19th century Germany that, while factually true, does not seem to fit in to our modern paradigm, and therefore remains untold. Liebig is a small town in eastern Germany, near Frankfurt, located on the west bank of the Oder River at the modern border with Poland. Settlement in the region has been traced as far back as 3,000 years, including Slavic tribes and the Lombards, the Germanic people who ruled most of the Italian peninsula from 568 to 774. Lombard, or Longbard, incidentally means long beard. And when you hear the ancient Germanic people described as barbarous, often in a derogatory way, implying unsophisticated, keep in mind that barbar means beard and root means red. So this is a misconception from a Roman perspective by a civilization that shaved and had a different set of morals and values. The Germanic tribes descend from an ancient spiritual tradition that equated long hair, including beards, with a vow of chastity, morality, and integrity, rather than a lack of sophistication or being uncivilized. To illustrate this point, I will read a short excerpt written by Julius Caesar at around 50 BC, and I quote, "The Germans differ much from these usages, for they have neither druids preside over sacred offices, nor do they pay great regard to sacrifices. They rank in the number of the gods those alone whom they behold, and by whose instrumentality they are obviously benefited, namely the sun, fire, and the moon. They have not heard of the other days. It is even by report their whole life is occupied in hunting and in the pursuit of military art from childhood. They devote themselves to fatigue and hardship. Those who have remained safe for the longest time receive the greatest commendation amongst their people. They think by this the growth is promoted. By this the physical powers are increased and the tendons are strengthened. And to have had a knowledge of a woman before the 20th year, they reckon among the most disgraceful acts of this matter there is no concealment, because they bathe promiscuously in the rivers and only use skins or small cloaks of deer hide, a large portion of the body being in consequence naked. End quote. So where the Greek or Roman lifestyle was based in part on slavery and a celebration of pedophilia and child sacrifice, the ancient Germanic tribes valued self-discipline and a certain moral fiber, which they believed they would transmute into greater physical prowess, higher intelligence, and an increased spiritual awareness or psychic aptitude. That said, I'd like to stress that in this context, chastity does not mean total abstinence, but a certain degree of self-restraint, which I cover in my other videos on esoteric transmutation, biomagnetic energy, or what I commonly refer to as drill, for those that are interested in learning more on that. Now back to our story, and Leavis, Germany, where in September of 1850, a mysterious stranger was found wandering around the town, seemingly lost, and speaking a broken form of German. Confronted by the authorities, he did not appear to be able to speak or understand any of the European languages, except for his imperfect form of German, but he claimed to read and write what he called Lexarian and Abrahamian tongues. The Abrahamian language he declared to be the written language of the clerical order in Lexaria, and the other the common language of his people. After further questioning, he said his religion seemed in part to resemble Christianity in form, symbol, and doctrine, but that it was called Vespasian. He said his name was Jofar Borin, described as having all marks of Caucasian origin, and he claimed to have come from a country called Lexaria, situated in a portion of the world called Sacria. He said that Lexaria was many hundreds of miles away and was separated by vast oceans from the land upon which he currently stood, which was Europe. He followed up by describing 5 great areas of the earth, possibly continents, that he named as Sakaria, Aslar, Ashtar, Ashlar, and Euplar. His purpose in coming to Europe, he alleged, was to seek a long-lost brother, but he suffered a shipwreck on the voyage. He did not know where the wreck occurred, nor how he arrived in Germany, and he could not trace his route on shore on any map or globe. As the chief magistrate was moved by the great level of geographical knowledge the man was able to provide, and not having the means by which to evaluate him any further, Jofar Voring was then taken to Berlin,
That's the
where it was
signature
reported
model.
that more
Got little
questioning and research would be
signatures in
completed.
it.
John Timms wrote about Boring in his 1852 Yearbook of Facts in Science and Art, a periodical which was praised for its accuracy by other publications of the time. In his reporting, he laid out the information that Boring had provided and claimed that the man was still the subject of much scientific and curious gossip in the Prussian capital. One of the most argued explanations for Boring was that he was something of a time or dimension traveler who had inadvertently landed in a world that was not his own. Others worried that he was suffering from a disorder or an unknown mental condition that made it difficult to be understood. Some speculated that he was an imposter,
but unable to state a motive, as he was not claiming to be of an affluent background, nor was he asking for any financial assistance. Strangely, the historical record of what happened to Gopher Byron ended in Berlin as inexplicably as it began. Whoever he was, once heard sometimes uses evidence of teleportation, parallel universes, and ultimate reality. That said, there's another, though equally bizarre, experience. Australia, a country with Byron claimed citizenship, is Latin for luxury, which brings to mind other fanciful stories of the hidden world of making honey beyond the poles of the earth. The novel Voyage to the Inner Earth, also published as The Smoky God, was first published in 1908 and presented as a true account of Olaf Nansen, a Norwegian sailor who, along with his son, discovered the northern entrance to the Earth's interior. They allegedly lived inside unimaginably gigantic caverns deep inside the Earth, two magnificent years. As guests of the very fault of European Muslim inhabitants of the underground network of subterranean colonies, or cities, whose capital was said to be the original Garden of Eden, and had everything one would imagine from a place regarded as a biblical paradise, a beautiful, protected oasis deep under the crust, with flowing rivers, full of oxygen-producing algae, plenty of fruit trees, and a soft, diffused glow of light from bioluminescent vegetation and mushrooms that kept the massive cavern perpetually lit and providing a plausible ecosystem underground without the need for direct sunlight. This idea of a subterranean kingdom is echoed in many parts of the world, from Tibet to India, with names such as Agartha or Shambhala, but also appeared in Germany in the 1700s, predating both Olaf Jensen's voyage and the mysterious appearance of Gopher Byron. Let us now revisit a brief excerpt from a prior video I did on the subject, which includes a very unusual map printed in 1740 by Matthias Suter, one of the most important and prolific German map publishers of the 18th century. It is of Schlaraffenland, which is a land of milk and honey, a map of a German concept of utopia. The original map from which this engraving was made was supposedly dropped off at Mr. Suter's map shop, left right outside of his door, and mysteriously just left there with no further information about it. For those interested, I go into more detail about this in my book called Gods with Amnesia. That said, this map is not any known landmass on the surface of the Earth and has peculiar writing on it, such as saying the light is the same both day and night. I would like to now draw your attention to the bottom right-hand portion of the map, which I found extraordinarily interesting. The writing on it says, in German, and I'll translate, the utopian map of the newly discovered Schlaraffenland. This land was often spoken of, but never located, and nobody knows where it is. I do! This ridiculous fantasy land is composed of many kingdoms, which have all the different vices of life within them, and that this map is delivered by anonymous authors. Could this so-called fantasy map, in actuality, be giving us a clue as to the polar entrance to the inner Earth, which piqued the interest of nationalist Germany in the early part of the last century? As you can see, the writing is on what appears to be a large rock, or a mountain, with 4 rivers running into it. Does this remind you of the Mercator map? A map originally published in 1570 by Abraham Ortelius of Amsterdam is called the Theatrum Orbis Terrarum and is considered to be the first true modern atlas. The North Polar Inset map presents a central continent
of Hyperborea or Hyperborea at the Arctic region. Many of the maps in this atlas were based upon sources that no longer exist or are extremely rare. The artist Mercator's maps were among the earliest to display the Arctic as a composition drawn from classical and Nordic sources. Mercator was a cartographer and mathematician born in what is now Belgium. He developed the Mercator projection world map, which is still in use today. Mercator left us his map from the 16th century, the first to offer an image of the Arctic as sourced from a now lost 14th century book, the Itinerarium of Jacob Noyes. Such a large, exposed landmass likely does not exist today as depicted, but remnants of it might. What Mercator and other cartographers of his time were showing, probably unknowingly, was an Arctic landmass that existed there many thousands of years ago in antediluvian times. The back of the map gives insight about this ancient land. Its location is described as, and I quote, an extreme region of the north, whose apex in the firmament is the North Pole. For this reason, half of the year is one and the same miraculous day, the other half continuous night. There are mountains covered by eternal snow, untouched by the heat of summer, forests without trails, rare animals, and roaring rivers within their base of time. This map not only depicts what could very well be the remnants of Hyperborea, but it also seems to imply that a race of pygmies once heavily populated the northern Canadian and Arctic regions where the four rivers intersect. Written on the map, Mercator explains that the ocean waters rush inward towards the center, between the islands to the pole, where they plunge deep into the earth. Directly at the pole is a black island, 33 leagues in circumference. The converging four rivers are rumored to be, at least partially, driven by powerful magnetic currents along the Earth's main meridian line, which circles the entire globe, dividing it into four quarters. Could this map be a portion of the inner world? My name is Robert Stepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon.com, and it's a great gift. Thank you so much to those who support me on Patreon. There should be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. Please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell for updates. I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. Situated off the north coast of Great Britain, part of the Northern Isles of Scotland, is where we find Orkney, which is made up of 70 islands, of which 20 are inhabited, with habitation stretching back at least 8,500 years. The largest island is called the mainland, with an area of about 200 square miles, and it was once home to a forgotten people that history refers to as the Picts, a confederation of Celtic-speaking people who left behind stone monuments inscribed with symbolic designs which predated Christianity. It was the Roman Empire that spread Christianity into southern Britain, and the Picts were their enemies, and considered them as an occupying force. That said, the Romans never fully occupied northern Scotland, and most of what we know about the Picts comes from Roman sources, so it's largely biased. They did, however, conquer the British islands.
I don't know if you can see it yet.
British
There you go. But this shit turns clear when you heat it.
The patron saint of Ireland, who drove out the
and then it goes silver.
Creature which never inhabited Ireland, and is symbolic for the people now largely regarded as pagans. I cover this in a video on St. Patrick, which I will leave a link to.
The element mica in glass, and that's how you do it.
Much of the real Irish,
Fucking like
Scottish, and even British history
fucking
is
crazy
lost
looking, man.
and is no longer taught.
but parts remain in the
This thing magnifies it for me.
which I also cover, and will leave a link to a video in the description.
Not bad.
And while I'm at it, I'll include a link to a presentation I did on how Scotland got its name. It's titled An Old Irish Legend About an Ancient Egyptian Princess. So
Most people will tell you that's impossible.
Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, as I also
Just
learn
watch
a
me
lot
do
from
it, right?
feedback I receive on these videos. That said, in today's episode, we will go back in time to an era before the pigs, which incidentally is not what they called themselves. It was a name given to them by the Romans that means painted or tattooed. Likely red, like the word Phoenician from the Greek word koinos, meaning red, or the tribe of Dan, whose color was red, and whose symbol was the snake. The Phoenicians invaded Britain over 3,000 years ago, and they wanted tin to mix with copper to make bronze. And they mixed with the indigenous people there, the original Picts, who were short statured, dark haired, round and broad headed, which in anthropological terms is called brachycephalic. And it is this pre-Phoenician ancient race or phenotype that we will explore today. Long before Stonehenge, or even most of the Egyptian pyramids were built, a thriving village existed in Scotland. One day, a farmer on the island of Orkney found a large stone that didn't look like it belonged in its environment. When the farmer flipped over the stone, he was shocked at what he discovered underneath. Skara Brae, a hidden and lost village that existed over 5,000 years ago. The farmer thought it was a house at first, because it looked rather small to be a village. But when it was active, it was home to over 100 people, which might not seem like a lot, but back then it was, considering the population density was much lower. The village, or tiny city, was well preserved for thousands of years, as it was covered with sand. I know some of my subscribers will compare this to Göbekli Tepe, the 10,000-year-old site in modern-day Turkey, whose large stone monuments were also buried and well preserved. But the difference is that Göbekli Tepe is purposely buried, and Skara Brae got covered by sand dunes, either rapidly or over time, but it wasn't its intention. In any event, these buried homes were not just used as shelters for citizens, but the center of each home contains a waterproof basin, which some archaeologists believe was used to catch fish in, but there are other more bizarre theories which I will cover later. There are 8 subterranean dwellings at the site, and each is connected by underground tunnels, as well as a workshop area. The covered passages between the homes are a little over 4 feet high, so the occupants would likely have been 4 feet tall or even shorter.
This is the only open developed. And the only exit. Originally, this passageway would have been looped over with stone slabs. The passageway is low and narrow and winding, and this is to stop the wind coming through and causing drafts. On either side of the passageway, there are entrances into the individual houses. This is the entrance to the house, and it's very low. As you come into the house, you have to walk to the right, because on the left, there is this barrier. As you come into the house, you move round and come to the seat. This is where we think the father of the house would have sat, right in close to the fire. The fire is in the centre of the house, and it was the only source of heat and light for the people here. They would have spent the evenings in the house around the fire, and they would have done all the cooking here. In this house, as well as the father, there would have been the mother and children, and possibly granny and granddad and aunties and uncles as well. This is what we call an extended family. They would have all lived under this one roof. This was something that was common in the Neolithic or the Stone Age, But it also carried on in Orkney until the middle of the 19th century, about 1850 or so. Danish people would have hunted and fished and farmed. They would have grown their own crop, and they would have used the grinder to grind the corn to make flour to make their bread. Stourbridge is a village built inside a midden. A midden is garden compost and bones and pieces of pottery and pieces of shells that are all piled up together into a mound. And then when the mound has been there for a long time, they dug into the mound and then stone lines the circles that they dug into the mound, and these became the houses within the village. They planned the village from the very beginning so that there would be a passageway leading directly through the village, and then the houses would lead off from either side. The houses, therefore, were almost like being underground, and the midden, or the compost, kept them warm and kept out all the drafts from the wind in the winter. The passageway certainly was roofed over by stone, but the houses themselves recently became roofed with wooden beams, then with springs over the beams, and then possibly heather thatch or tuff on top to form a lining. We think that during the summertime and during the daytime, the people wouldn't have been in the village at all, that they would have worked outside the village, and in fact on top of it, on these areas that you can see between the houses. And that only in the winter time when it was very cold and dark, and in the evenings, did they then go inside the house. The village was eventually abandoned because the sand came in from the sea and filled in the houses and covered them over, preserving them. And then they were undiscovered for 4,000 years until in 1850 they were uncovered in a storm in the winter. And therefore we have the best preserved Stone Age village in Europe.
The site is missing its roof, so one can look down into the hobbit-like dwelling from above as a fascinating pattern used in each of the homes, consisting of a central fireplace, beds to either side, and what appears to be a dresser of shelves. There would have been blankets and screens made from animal skins and fur, but we have to imagine them rather than just the cold stone skeletons of the room. There were also large pots found that date back to around 3000 BC, used for heating malt. They germinated and heated cereal grains that fermented to produce alcohol. A few miles from Starbray, there are multiple other Neolithic sites, including the rings of Broadway, a huge circle originating 60 granite stones, just over the hill from the site. And it's hard to imagine how inhabitants
That's what I had in mind.
hobbit-like communities could excavate, transport, and erect such monuments so long ago. The ritual complex is among the oldest structures on the British Isles and shows the inhabitants were well aware of the solstices and equinoxes. Another important archaeological site located near Skara is the Standing Stones of Stennis, dating back to 3100 BC. It was a ritual site which has long been associated with magic and the Norse god Odin, which also had astronomical significance. These megalithic structures imply that Skara Brae likely housed a group of astronomer priests who were responsible for maintaining the sacred sites. While mainstream scholars reject the idea in favor of a more typical Neolithic farming village, the fact is that ancient farmers relied on astrological data which guided them on when to plant and harvest, and also lived in tune with nature, using those same yearly cycles.
I guess Shep probably didn't have a show today, did he?
Time the religious way. My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. Thank you to those supporting on Patreon.
Everybody took it off.
Greatly appreciated. There should be a link below for those who are interested.
No, I napped a lot of the day.
Thank anyone that shares my videos, if I rely on word of mouth. Please
What up, Jelly?
hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you guys.
The UFO fleet this morning. Really?
And On this beautiful sunny afternoon,
Shoot 'em
I
down.
started reflecting on stories about the inner earth, this time from Woolpit, a village in the English county of Suffolk, whose name is derived from an Old English word meaning pit for trapping gold. The current population is about 2,000 people.
UFOs.
During the 12th century, the population was less than half of that. And it's from that time period that today's episode takes place. Two medieval writers independently report that two children, a brother and a sister, mysteriously appeared one day in the small village. They wore strange-looking clothes, spoke in an unknown language, and seemed to live off of a diet entirely made up of raw beans. Their skin also had a greenish color, but besides that, they generally had a normal appearance. The people of the village took them in, gave them more nourishing food, and while their green skin color eventually faded, the boy died soon after being baptized. The girl learned to speak English and started to explain a rather strange and bizarre story about how they ended up in the village. She claimed that she and her brother had come from a place called St. Martin's Land, an underground world whose inhabitants were green. She claimed that they emerged from one of the wolf trapping pits, deep holes in the earth designed to lure and ensnare dangerous wolves. She explained that their subterranean home didn't have a sunrise or sunset, but instead it was always twilight with a diffused glow. She said that the siblings had followed their father's cattle's herd into a cave and had become lost and disoriented, and it was the distant sound of bells, probably of a church, that eventually led them out.
I'm doing a little
when
bit.
When they emerged from the cavern,
I wanted to finish this piece
they did so in
I'm working on
rather than St. Martin's Land. There are numerous versions of the story and even more theories attempting to explain the odd
now
details,
you can see the mic
such as the green skin being the result of malnutrition, poisoning, or the lifelong exposure of the skin to a different kind of light.
Little signatures on it.
In my book, Gods with Amnesia, I explain that there are numerous bioluminescent organisms, and especially fungus, that thrive in enclosed settings, such as caves, because of the lack of wind, which helps to distribute the spores of fungus in outside open-air environments. But in enclosed environments, attracts insects or other animals, which perform the duty that the wind would normally do. Much in the same way that bright, vivid colors of flowers attract bees in a similar way, helping to distribute, in this case, the flower's pollen, aiding in fertilization. So one can imagine that the light of St. Martin's Land,
feeling rough after being up, huh?
Could be a diffused, perpetual glow of mushrooms, lichen, or something similar. The story continues with the girl eventually marrying a royal officer.
I've gotten your colors on a stick
40
too,
miles from Woolpit,
while I was
given the name Agnes, and having children whose descendants could possibly still inhabit the area to this day. While the vast majority
I've made progress on many fronts today.
It still manages to persist, with some seeing striking similarities to legends of green leprechauns and other old myths from the region. Gerald of Wales,
and I still got a nap in.
Historian from the 12th century, told a similar story.
Well, they're very, giraffe-y.
Escaping his master, and I quote, encountered two pygmies.
I was going to say, well, I imagine you want you already gave me pictures of what you want.
Fields and rivers, but not lit by the full light of the sun, end quote. Could there really be inhabited subterranean worlds which actually exist, but the surface inhabitants today dismiss as myth and legend? The Nationalist Socialist government of Germany in the 30s and 40s took the concept of Artha, or inner earth, very seriously. And unlike the United States and her allies,
I see myself going to bed by 2 though.
That correctly dismissed the fraudulent display.
I just wanted to finish this thing tonight.
Link in the British Museum.
I'm on my last little squeeze of chocolate for my coffee.
Jaw was bleached and glued onto a human skull and touted as cutting-edge science for almost 50 years.
Yeah, I don't
While
plan on
England
doing
and the
anything
United
after
States
this.
celebrated this
Not with
bogus
that
evolutionary
finished in
scam
there.
for the
I'd be
first
afraid
half of the 20th century.
anything hot going in there, I could accidentally touch it and fuck both fucking pieces up. So yeah, I don't want to do that.
Deep underground bases in them, much of which the U.S. and Great Britain still keep
That's funny.
classified
Maybe having to take yourself a nap, huh?
known only
Yeah,
to
it
politicians.
happens. It happens to the best of us.
My name is Robert Stepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published work on Amazon. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing. Please don't forget to leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Please have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys.
Hi. Yeah.
Prague is the capital, largest city in the Czech Republic, 14th largest city in the European Union, and the historical capital of Bohemia. Nicknamed the city of 100 spires.
What the hell time is it, boy?
0 o'clock.
0 o'clock.
Prague
Yeah,
is the
you
capital
need some
of the Kingdom of
shoes and
Bohemia,
socks.
the main residence of several
You need some shoes and a sock on.
important cities in the Habsburg monarchy.
I have a sock on.
Austria,
Walk your damn dogs. Lock that door.
located
Brush your teeth.
I have come to
about
beat
30
the
miles
And get in
north
bed
of
an hour and a half ago.
Czech Republic.
I have come to
The
beat the daddy.
mysterious
Go.
Gothic Puszta
Report back when you're done.
No.
was constructed
Spend some good time out there with Chico and Patches.
I'll stay here forever.
during the reign of Otto II.
You know I'm wearing a
They
belt.
say mysterious,
No,
I
but
am.
it wasn't near any available sources.
Although if I pull off my belt, my pants are coming down.
Significant-
And these people are going to get a hell of a show. So you better be good. Walk your dogs, boy. God.
I don't want to speculate too much. About
He's
what
still
they were
up.
doing, as it was just rumor. But years
It's the
later,
weekend, Dad. I
renovation,
was like, all right.
skeletons,
He's like, but Dad, it's Thanksgiving. I was like, you know, you act like this is Christmas. I gave him a till 1, now it's like 1:30, and I'm all like,
of its location, due to a bottomless pit.
what's that saying? Give him an inch, they'll take a mile.
Gateway to the world. And that the Bohemian
Oh my
rulers
God.
decided to seal the gateway past. There are legends surrounding this deep hole. Some locals claiming
Anyone waking up in a sweat these days?
possibly inhabited realm.
Well,
Said that Bohemian rulers
I usually
decided to
do.
seal up the gateway for entry. And while it is now possible to tour the enigmatic castle,
I'm usually pretty hot,
shut off, covered by metal bars.
as has been reported.
Tried to find the
Hi,
bottom
Cosmic.
of the
How you doing?
And the walls inside are covered with some of the oldest paintings in Europe. Most are
My temperatures, I don't know. I'm a little weird.
Even has a room.
Accept it. Just accept it. But anybody who's ever slept with me has actively complained about how hot I am.
For how long?
Except in the wintertime.
Who built it? Why is it here? Why was it built? Nobody can believe it.
And I'm all like, fuck, man. They're like, you're a heating blanket.
You're in the middle of a medieval forest, in the middle of nowhere. It was said that these forests were not even suitable for hunting.
But my body temperature is usually lower than most people.
Puszta is also called the gateway to the world. It's here to prevent something from.
I usually hang out around about
what
97.6,
they were called
97.8.
Devilish.
If I'm up at 98.6, I got a temperature.
It was at the end of the 9th century. At this point, the earth should have broken. The rock should have broken. The hole was created. This hole was destroyed.
I love it hot.
Puszta is also called the gateway to the world. They were half man, half animal. They were also called non-human. They hurt cattle and crops.
Too damn
It is written
cold out there for me
did not
in a
want to
coat.
kill them. So they tried to
The fuck temperature is like, it's in the 20s right now. It'll be back in the 50s today, though. It's been beautiful weather here. I ain't complaining at all. We had snow at one point.
Is the Huska Castle really a gateway to another world? Or are there otherworldly beings that inhabit the bottomless pit near Prague? It seems the mysterious castle in the Czech Republic still remains a mystery. My name is Robert Stepper.
Temperature La Junta.
Please subscribe to this channel.
31 degrees in La Junta right now.
It's motherfucking 31.
Published on Amazon.
See, it's cold.
Please leave me your thoughts in the comment section below.
Tomorrow.
Hope to see you again.
We'll be back in the mid-50s. I can deal with that. Beautiful day. Beautiful Friday day. I got to call my Anna tomorrow.
I often like to come read by water fountains. They seem to have a reflective effect on me. And today got me thinking about fairy tales. I'm particularly fond of this beautiful fountain in Dresden, Germany, called the Bath Nymph at Singer Palace. Baroque courtyard fountain surrounded 2 levels by many statues.
I can deal with that.
of nymphs
Last winter it was a lot colder than this.
with many ancient legends. But since tomorrow is Thanksgiving, today's episode will be about Native American legends, and we'll revisit Germany next. Murphy, North Carolina.
So you're more than I am.
Situated where the Hillacy and Valley rivers meet, about 360 miles from the capital of Rhode. Population of just under 2,000 people. This small town is home to one of the most interesting mysteries from the time before the first Thanksgiving. Believed to be centuries old, this 3-foot-tall soapstone sculpture, conjoined figures, went on display at the Cherokee County Historical Museum in 2015.
Oh, he's back.
Decades.
He's back. He's back. Oh, are you challenging me?
First being discovered
I've got,
in the 1840s.
I've got a big heavy rod here.
I
could beat you with.
Looks like nothing else ever found.
Probably cut myself because I'm holding the sharpener. That motherfucker, I've cut myself on that before right there.
According to
The sharpener, a fucking razor.
It
is. No.
Oh, that's good.
What are you doing, boy? Did you brush your teeth?
Yes.
You didn't have time to brush your teeth.
I did.
Where did you brush it at?
Before walking the dog.
As to who the legends could be about. One popular
Look at all these bugs, man. What the
London
fuck is that all about?
descendants
I'm blaming you.
You.
Just bring them all down here with the
Alabama.
Oh,
1170.
hello.
Now, I'm not a big fan of this theory,
Patches my scissor did.
and believe that the term lunging was appeared in print in the 19th
I'm
century.
almost done, actually.
It simply describes people of a mixed
Love you.
ancestry. European, Native American.
While I'm standing up, I might as well blow a carburetor in this thing.
What?
I said, while I'm standing up, I might as well blow a carburetor in this thing.
May or may not be of moon-eyed people, but in fact were of what are known as little people, who were said to cry tears that turned into fairy crosses or stone cross-shaped artifacts, which are also on display at the museum. I write about this extensively in my book, Gods with Amnesia, and have already covered the subject of this mysterious ancient pygmy race in a prior video, so I don't want to be redundant. But according to the Cherokee legend, the moon-eyed people were a separate race of physically small troglodytes, found inhabiting the earth at the same moment that they were, in the time before Columbus arrived in the Americas. And while there are variations of the myth, they all seem to end in the expulsion of this mysterious race to a life that lived exclusively underground. One legend finds the moon-eyed people driven from their home by the Creek tribe in the south. The story goes that the Creek waited until the light of the full moon became too bright for even the nocturnal cave dwellers to face,
Now I gotta do is cut it
ambushed
off.
them in their time of weakness, and drove them from their homeland further into the underground cave. Another account sees the Cherokee people themselves fighting the Moon-Eyed people towards the west into what is now Tennessee.
This is what I
And a
consider
more recent
having
theory
fun.
speculates that the Moon-Eyed people may have sought refuge further north in what
This
is
is
now
how I'd like
West
to
Virginia.
spend my time when
For
I got it.
years, stories have been passed down about Cherokee Little.
As the legend has
Little
it, they
peoples.
live underground. News 13's Rex Hodge joins us with the West News.
Rex, a local author, has a new book out about little people. Does she believe that? She does. Mary Joyce's book is called Cherokee Little People Were Real, and she says there's evidence to prove it.
My giant curiosity. I mean, little people that nobody seemed to know about.
Mary Joyce started collecting notes more than a decade ago about legends of little people in our western mountains. Finally, putting out a book, Cherokee Little People.
Hi,
They
Paula.
were here before the Cherokee.
She says
Good
the
morning.
Cherokee came from the Great Lakes region thousands of years ago, arriving to find little people who lived underground.
In their gardens at nighttime by the moonlight. And originally, the Cherokee called them the Moon People.
And she says the Cherokee adopted them. Joyce bases much of her book on the recollections of two men who grew up hearing little people stories, including tunnels near older buildings at Western Carolina University.
Fucking tastes
like the
delicious.
McKee building, built in the 30s.
And these tunnels, well, I guess, were like a network.
Cherokee history lecturer Freeman Owl has spoken to Eastman's classes about the little people. He says many Cherokee believe in them and their existence. From the West
The Cherokees said that when they moved into the southern Appalachian Mountains, they were already a race of people here.
Hi, Polycentric.
They were short, white, flat faced, and blue eyed. They were so blue eyed that they couldn't see the work in the sunshine. So they come out of the heat and night to do the work. So the Cherokees called them the Moon-Eyed. Now,
They're very grapey.
we know that there's an Indian village down there because there's a small mound where they had a council house supposedly for these camp. We showed that subsequent generations, the people.
Pull it in, cat. Getting seasick.
We know that the Moonite people lived down there for sure.
Call them that magnet.
In their oral tradition, they said that they lived.
You saw this wall.
Raised across the creek, which we think would have been Valley River because it's smaller than Hiawassee. And the reason that they were afraid to cross the creek was because of the red leaf.
She ain't allowed to be sick. That's right. She got to be having a good day for us today. Well, I'm sleeping.
Concept of a subterranean people living in the Americas strikes up similarities to another story that is also found in my book and included in
Try you a Schumann. Seriously though, Kat, try you a Schumann resonance. Find you a 7.83 hertz and hit play. See if it helps.
rather than on ships from either Europe or Asia or even the North.
It couldn't hurt.
Unfortunately, deep exploration of most cases, especially in the Grand Canyon, is strictly forbidden, as is genetic testing on any ancient remains found in North America. And so the myths and legends remain a mystery, and nothing is allowed.
Yeah, that moon's fucking rolling.
Genetically debunked, politically motivated propaganda known as the
Being a lady ain't for sissies. You got that right.
Go down in history. An even bigger hoax than the fraud.
I wouldn't want to be one of y'all.
Where Babylon's jaw was glued to a human cranium and touted as the missing link by the British Museum, first half of the 20th century. Talk about a real.
But try you a Schumann resonance generator. See if that helps. Because
my published work on Amazon.
I bet you it does.
Support me on Patreon. There should be a link below. Kindly share these videos and hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification.
It looks like Mama's pushing induction.
Please leave me your thoughts in the comment section.
So it's probably fucking with the human. Let me see.
I hope to see you.
I just looked at the quake map. I could tell there's some fuckery going on. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, doesn't seem to be much induction going on at the moment. Wow. She got the spider effect going on. Crazy crunch.
Jekyll Island is located off the coast of the U.S. state of Georgia. It's currently run by a self-sustaining, self-governing body. While it is owned by the state of Georgia since 1947, before that, much of its land was privately owned, beginning in colonial era. The secret of events that took place on the island during the early 20th century being central to today's episode. At the end of November 1910, two of the most influential men in America gathered on Jekyll Island for a secret meeting. Their names were Senator Nelson W. Coleridge, who was the leader of the Republican Party, Adam P. Andrews, who was Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, Frank Arthur Vandercliff, who was President of the National City Bank of New York, Henry P. Davis,
seriously,
who was also a prominent banker.
Fuck, Bugs.
Benjamin Strong.
It is fucking November. How in the hell did I even got gnats in the summertime? What the fuck is going on here? This whole week I've been buzzed in my fucking dungeon by gnats. God, look at that. By gnats.
Draft legislation for what eventually became the creation of the Federal Reserve Act of 1930. Of course, there's a gap there. And when the meeting took place in 1910 and the establishment of the Federal Reserve in 1913, which I'll get into. But first,
yeah, I bet you're feeling some effects, huh?
Federal Reserve is. Although it has the word federal in it, which by definition implies
ain't no doubt. In my head, you're probably feeling some effects from that shit.
Private bank, by private citizens, Rothschild banking family.
Y'all looked at this one.
And loans this paper currency.
A little bit of crinkle going
on interest. Rather than the U.S. government printing its own currency backed by gold and silver, as stated in the U.S. Constitution, this legislation made it so instead the U.S. borrows over printed by a group of private bankers.
How you doing, Jacqueline?
That collect interest every dollar printed backed by nothing. This ability to print loan money on interest is what financed both world wars, drowning the nation in debt, and why $1 in 1913 equals $25 today.
So in effect, we're financing our trade with China, trade with Japan by our Federal Reserve currency, which is neither federal, it's not federal, any more than the Federal Express Company is a federal company.
Feeling
and it has no reserves because it doesn't need any current reserves. Because it prints its
you
own
may
currency.
want to try as human residence yourself. Mama's
another $10 million. So
pushing.
And finally, it's not a system. It's called the Federal Reserve System. It's not federal. It has no reserves, and it's not a system. But I'm the only person in the world who's ever defined it in my works.
If you haven't quite mastered the relaxations,
and that's what it is. It's a criminal syndicate.
You might need the mechanical help for a minute.
And my CIA and all of the criminal syndicates work out of the Federal Reserve System. Because that's what a Federal Reserve System is. A central bank.
There you go.
Is a
call that magnet,
group of
and you'll be okay. It comes with practice.
Of the nation's economy.
It took me a while. I still get dizzy sometimes. I'm like, what? What the fuck was that?
That a central bank's principal role is for war finance.
You too? Good. I'm not the only one.
And so,
at first I thought I was just getting old. Then I started looking at the research, and I was all like,
most intelligent people might think that this system is not only.
I mean, starting to get a little concerned. I'm like, fuck, man.
resembling
Maybe I need to start doing more push-ups.
Designed to make
Oh.
small groups of people extremely wealthy at the expense of the working middle class, which gets stuck with inflation.
You got a little dizzy?
You might also think that surely there must be some sort of opposition to financial.
It feels like you're
What
seasick.
about them?
That's like one of the first
This brings us back to
symptoms
those critical years
that
between secret Jekyll
you're
Island
having
1910
human issues.
and 1913. When the Federal Reserve
That and we're kind of like rocking anyways. I mean, that doesn't help
the opposition
much when your
we need to take a look at the
planet
man
boat
named
starts
J.P.
rolling around.
Morgan, American
It's like,
financier,
where
banker,
do you find a steady spot? You
corporate
know,
finance on Wall
in
Street,
your heart.
when he was a driving force behind the wave of industrial consolidation in the United
That's-
States, spearheading the formation
I
of
didn't know
several
I had
prominent
that.
multinational corporations, including U.S. Steel Corporation and General Electric, with controlling interests in AT&T, Western Union, and 24 Railroad. J.P. Morgan funded and built the Titanic, as well as its sister ship called the Olympia. While there's much written on theories involving an insurance scam, where
But yeah, most of the time I
was
can
really the ship that sank.
control that, but sometimes it'll catch you off guard. Like, whoa,
Already
wait a minute.
partially damaged the rest. I won't be addressing that conspiracy theory at this time, but there's several interesting videos by others available online for those interested. Instead, I'd like to focus on the fact that J.P. Morgan was booked on the maiden voyage but canceled the day before. The same fortunate outcome cannot be said for the most wealthy, influential opponents of the creation of the Federal Reserve Act. American millionaires who did not owe their fortunes to banking, such as Jacob Astor, one of the richest people in the world at the time, whose wealth, in today's money, was the equivalent of $2.25 billion. His fortune was built in real estate, inheritance from fur trading, and as an inventor, incidentally a friend of Nikola Tesla.
Aha!
He was a lieutenant colonel in the Spanish Navy. Another opponent to the Federal Reserve Act on board was Benjamin Guggenheim, son of a wealthy miner, who again was not a banker.
Yes, a bong helps.
Isidore Strauss,
Damn straight.
owner of Macy's department store, who, like the other successful non-banker business,
Helps calm my magnet.
seemed
Real
too
good.
unlucky or too unable to make it aboard a life raft, and instead died going down with the ship. It's interesting to note that there were no red flares on board to signal any boats for rescue. Only white flares that signal a party or that everything's okay. Yet these wealthy and politically influential men opposed to the Federal Reserve were invited aboard the Titanic for its maiden voyage. The same trip that J.P. Morgan decided to back out from at the last minute.
At the last minute.
No Rockefellers and no Rothschilds on board.
Not one.
All major opposition perishing aboard the ship in 1912. The Federal Reserve Act established the following year during the holiday season. Passed through
See,
Congress.
it really helps if you love marijuana.
Oh, well, and the other bankers had to, for the first time in their life, come down to Washington and lobby in the halls of Congress to get the Federal Reserve Act passed. And of course, they had to make a lot of promises, a lot of commitments, a lot of bribes. But since they credited money, it didn't matter. So they bribed the Congress to enact the Federal Reserve Act, which was signed.
Nice.
But they still could not get a majority vote. So they had to wait till the Christmas vacation after Lindbergh and the
You are a master with the needle.
Christmas vacation. Then they brought the Federal Reserve Act before Congress on December 23rd, after the opposition had left.
Chico got to wear his coat today. It was cold out.
And so even the New York Times said, never has legislation.
Yeah, we love Katniss.
Remnant. In other words, the whole Federal Reserve Act was passed through Congress. It passed more or less while Congress.
Warm weather. It's kind of warm here too for what it's supposed to be.
And so Wilson signed the act into law
He looks
on December 23rd.
so fucking cute.
Practice Christmas Eve, and it became public law.
It's
so now that they have a central bank,
it's fucking perfect
all the money they
for
want,
him. It really is.
owned bank, and the Federal Reserve Act itself is an amazing act.
It's almost like you had him there to just physically fit him into that little coat it is.
Becomes an obligation of the U.S. government, means U.S. taxpayers. Second,
I can deal with that. You know, that's what I say. It's 50s, mid-50s here. I'm cool with that.
Ever be bought or sold on any exchange in the world. So in other words, the initial purchasers would own it in perpetuity, which is what happened because the Rothschilds, Warburg, Schiffs all bought the original stock in 1914 and have owned it ever since. And they've put it into foundations, so it can never be touched. And these foundations are the real government of the United States, Rockefeller Foundation. Nearly all of your major legislation in the United States is prepared by these foundations. And they submit it to Congress, and of course they have enormous staffs and billions of dollars. So they bring the legislation before Congress. And it's impeccable. It's researched and it's praised and everything is done just right. And so of course the Congress accepts it. And they look around and they say, "Has anybody objected to any of this?" And of course, nobody objected. So it becomes law. That's why you have laws constantly passed by Congress, which are actively opposed by 85% of the American people. Almost everything is done in Washington, opposed by 85% of the American people. So you have government by 15%, government by elites. And they're not even Americans. These are international elitists. They have no allegiance whatsoever to the United States. Just like your Canadian legislators have no allegiance to you. They have no allegiance to Canada. They're part of the international elite. But of course, they don't
Vatican DC Corporation. All of them. All of them.
Selfless individuals. They love that word selfless. Imagine all your legislators are selfish. They never have a selfish bone in their body. So they're working for you. They want to give you things. And of course, the only purpose they have is to rob you. Not only you, but all 6 billion people in the world. Because it's a government-run robbery. So you have what you call the new economy in the United States. And probably Canada too. And the new economy is simply people working and creating and producing in spite of everything the robbers can do to them. Everything that's accomplished this country is accomplished in spite of the foundations, in spite of the bankers. People have to work harder, pay the interest, but they do that. They rise to the challenge. At some point, the people will have to make themselves recognized. And they're doing this through the internet. The big question mark is the internet. And that's why Washington has been making frantic efforts to control the internet.
My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you to those who support me on Patreon. There should be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. And please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell to receive updates. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon.
He's going on about the Atlantean civilizations. I'm trying to trace them back.
Beginning at midnight, finishing at dawn, their dance symbolized raw energy, both nature and the supernatural world.
Oh, Anunnaki shit.
They mostly appear at night by moonlight as dancing horror, secluded area. Hora, also known as Horo, is a type of circle dance originating in the Balkans, but also found in other countries such as Turkey, Greece, Albania,
oh, yummy.
Croatia,
that's a
Serbia, Moldova,
surgically removed flesh,
and in Jewish culture.
Is that fish flesh? What kind of flesh we talking about here? That's disturbing. Oh, it's Black Friday. Is it? I'm staying at home. Have fun. I got milk. We're good. Oh, I didn't have a turkey. We had a couple pieces of chicken, a bunch of potatoes, and corn, and cranberry sauce, buns. We had all kinds of stuff. We just didn't have a big old turkey.
The course of the seasons are symbolically portrayed in the dance, and so we often see spring flowers.
My body's accustomed to meat,
circular movement,
so I'm not going to fuck up my fauna and my belly and everything else and stop eating right away. But I don't eat a whole bunch of cow and I don't eat a whole bunch of turkeys.
Especially those
all that. But, I mean, we had mostly vegetables most of the time.
Thracians were a group of Indo-European or Aryan tribes inhabiting a large area, eastern, southeastern.
I've seen what happens when human beings stop eating meat. It's called Crohn's disease. Crohn's sucks. I would not rather have anything to do with it.
First historical record.
Now, if we were on a total diet of hemp seed,
they're described as allies of the Trojans,
which is fucking $12 a little fucking pound of it. Good luck with that. But I mean, man can't live on soybean alone.
According to Euripides,
that's for sure. And I myself,
and was regarded as a patron.
I am not a fan. I am not a fan.
Words
of soybean product or any tofu. Tofu is just ridiculously like
mixture
to me. It totally. What up, Ariana? But most of the time I eat fish. I love fish. I love fish. I love shrimp. Shrimp are fucking bugs. I eat bugs.
Sudden rapid climate change. And in many cases,
there you go. See, that's my favorite right there. Some sea food. Anything that crawls on the bottom of the ocean, I'm a fan of. I love fish. We have salmon all the time. Usually twice a week. If not that, we're having shrimp Alfredo, something like that. You know, fucking bugs. Come on, I'm gonna start eating you.
Ancient Persian,
motherfuckers.
Iberian.
What are you buzzing me for? I ain't got no food. Language, worse than my dog.
Highly reduced and altered due to repeated invasions into the Balkans.
Damn it.
Accompanied by Hellenization,
what the hell?
Romanization.
Everybody else being invaded by no-see-ums? Fucking things are crazy. They'll land on you and bite you?
The worship of the Thracian god.
I ain't never seen them around here before.
By Christian.
I know what they are because they used to live in Florida. They're the same fucking bug, man. They don't live here in Colorado. These motherfuckers have invaded my house. I mean, like, they're everywhere. They're in my kitchen, they're in my bathroom, they're in my bedroom, they're down here. It's like I can't get away from them. I don't know where the hell these things are coming from. And I'm not the only one. John's got them, the neighbors got them. They're all over the damn place around here. Yeah, no seals, man. They're little tiny fucking gnat-like things, but they bite. They suck. Walter in the basement with the fly. I don't. I'm not sure who Walter is. I might have to watch that. But I'll tell you what, man. It's fucking irritating. It's like, fuck, man. Motherfuckers are all up in my hair, trying to bite my head.
Remnants of the Thracians, mostly assimilate. Some claim cultural traces of continuity found among some of the areas of Albania and among other South.
Yeah, Georgia, Florida.
Of course, this is
I have
only
never seen them here in Colorado before,
the Thracians
but they
were
are fucking everywhere. I sitting out on my porch. It's like no-see-ums everywhere, all over you.
Less than 10, 11, 12 wives. Some even more. One died, has only 4 or 5 wives. He is called ill-fated.
So, yeah, I don't know where in the hell they're coming from. I guess they just migrated.
Unmarried Thracian women.
Motherfuckers climbing up paracord right now.
Where men perceived
flying in my face.
Who lived without women, practiced what today is called esoteric transmutation, form of spiritual alchemy.
Hannibal Lecter. Oh boy. Yeah, don't plan on me eating anybody. I'm not going cannibal anytime soon. I got plenty of rice and beans over there on the shelf. Fucking. I'll be damned if I'd eat me and go see them, motherfuckers. Shit, I can't even catch one. He saw me coming. No, see him saw me coming. It puts the lotion on the skin. Uh-oh. I've seen that movie. Now you're making me nervous. Well, not this chair. Fuck, no, that'd be dangerous. This thing can fold on me. Y'all crazy.
As for physical appearance, several Thracian graves, tombstones, have the name Rufus inscribed on them. And ancient Greek writers.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna smoke them out of here. I'm gonna chase them out with smoke.
As red hair.
I am being swarmed.
When we consider the phenotype of Genghis Khan.
I need to get me some bug spray. I've got some bombs, but I don't want to set off bombs because some little fucking bug. I ain't got no bug.
None other than the Islamic prophet Muhammad, also famous for having red hair.
I got bombs when I moved in here. We ain't never had no bug problems, but this is becoming a problem.
Many Muslims around the world.
This has been like this for 3 or 4 days, and it's getting worse. What the fuck?
As I mentioned earlier,
I ain't got nothing down here.
And description barbarous.
Everything I got is sealed up.
Red beard. The Latin alphabet derived from the Etruscan Greek alphabet. And
I'm fixing to call it on.
Phoenicia.
Smoke these motherfuckers out. They'll get all high. And then land, and I'll squish them one by one.
This brings us back to the Soma Diva, nymph of Slavic folklore, where it has been said that the Soma Diva, the goddess, Grecian goddess.
Oh man, what flavor is this shit?
The Greek goddess.
Oh my god, this contains marijuana. I don't know. It says it contains marijuana. Right there. This contains marijuana. The fly swatter. Durban jungle. not exactly sure about the jungle, but I know what Durban is. Fucking fly. So I'll put a little of that on there. I think I want a little bit of the strawberry on there too, just because I like that strawberry and cheese. Fuck! I'm about to evacuate the fucking dungeon. It ain't this bad in my room at all. I'm gonna have to fucking set off a bomb or something. I need to get me some raid. We'll fucking spray these bitches down. What in the fuck? See, I know what the problem is. I don't know how to stop it yet. I have to have the fucking intake open. They're finding their way in my basement because I got my intake over here completely open. I've got a screen on this one.
They are also a symbol of coming spring.
I'm pulling them in
nature
over here.
Fire. In astrology, the sun moves to the sign
I'm
of
gonna
Aries,
have to build myself
March,
a screen.
and the
for that
astrological
fucking-
year begins with spring, ruled by the planet Mars. Color is red.
So I've got my
Also
hoses
known as
coming in this window over
represented
here
by the
too.
ram. The cyclical nature found in astrology is intimately tied to many
Man,
ancient
I just wish it'd get cold
Right
and stop coming in
during
and
certain
stop
parts
being
of
the
the year,
thing. You know what I
which
mean?
sometimes
I don't know what the fuck. It's
music,
crazy.
toxicants, and other trance-inducing techniques remove inhibition and social constraints, liberating the individual to return to a natural state. Initiation,
Durban.
participation,
It's
and
Durban jungle.
promise to
Like
increase
Durban Poison,
spiritual awareness,
but it's like Durban jungle.
culpability, certain required advantages in the afterlife.
I'm not sure what the
My
jungle
name is
is.
Robert Sepper.
I'm hoping it's
anthropologist.
pineapple.
Find my published
I'm gonna
books
have
on
a little
Amazon.
taste test.
Great gift. Thank you so much to those who support me on Patreon. There should be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. Please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell for updates. I very much look forward to reading your thoughts in the comment section.
Ooh, tickle the
Have a
nose.
wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again.
Tastes very Durban-y. I'm not sure what the jungle part is. Now let's light the strawberry side.
Sometimes, if you want to shed a little light on things, you have to go groping around in the dark. And let's face it, when it comes to our prehistoric sites,
Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Dude was scaring me. He was talking about groping around in the dark. I'm like, wait a minute. What the fuck, dude? Oh, I see. Standing with Stones, an epic journey through Stone Age Britain and Ireland. That sounds like something I would put on to fall asleep to.
Imagine that our modern architecture could stand the test of time, and that in 5,000 years, all that was left were shells of our buildings. There'd be nothing to tell the difference between an office block and a hospital, or a church hall and a jazz club, or even a warehouse with an aircraft hangar.
Well, I'm over
That's
here.
the problem with so many of our ancient sites. They look similar in appearance, but were they similar in function? Across the length and breadth of the British Isles, we have a
What the hell are you doing, Turkey?
Some mysterious and alien, some less so. This film is about that heritage. And it's only by being, standing with these ancient stones, that we can begin to get a sense of that bigger picture. Begin to understand what these extraordinary places are all about.
Now those are a couple of odd quakes. There's one out down there at the bottom of the Saudi Peninsula and one at the top. I would expect more towards Western Europe, but okay. I'll take that. Why not? Oh yeah, it kind of fills it in. The way when you shake it back and forth, you get the full effect. Very diverse. The shaking.
I'm not an academic, and I don't claim to be an expert, but I have been exploring primitive cultures and prehistoric sites for many years. And the plus side of that is that whilst embracing current,
it's like the sails are filling up from behind.
It does also give me the freedom to offer some contentious ideas from time to time without getting sacked. The downside of that, of course, is that sometimes I might be talking rubbish. Who knows? The purpose of this film is not to give a history lesson.
There's that. The turkey shake. That's real weird.
Experience what they left behind. And as we travel across the British Isles, maybe we can shed some light on these mysterious places and the people who built them. So follow me.
Braving the outside. Yeah, I got to go outside here soon and turn off my oxygen. Matter of fact, speaking of which, it's time to cut this thing off. It's up to 10.
Believe it or not, this wall is about 5,000 years old. But look what it's a part of.
What's it a part of? Huh?
This is the Bala Wall Barrow at Land's End, right down at the southwestern tip of mainland Britain. And its structure is unique in all of the British Isles. But it's
pretty cool looking.
Well, that's something else. There are burials here, and a burial site is very rarely just a burial site. And what's more, excavations have uncovered Bronze Age artifacts here as well, which means that this site could have been in continuous use for 2,000 years. And I wish I could tell you what it had been used for. Some burial sites have probably internal and look at a looking staff in space. Yeah, it was probably built a long time before the outer walls, and it was so monument inside. You know what I mean? Archaeologists have a difficult time choosing the information to there. And without start observations over a wider area, sometimes the conclusion has to be based on a very small observation. We know those Bronze Age burials, but this doesn't necessarily what they've seen. We'll come back to the subject in case we need to. To begin with, it's fair to see that contrary to the way our ancestors have so often portrayed, this kind of structure could not have been conceived structures which we were founded, and indeed simple. On its own, this type of belief, but it does hold clues. That's something that determines possibility. Every time we talk to the stars, this is what we have seen in the way. And hopefully, then bringing something to
Flat marking. Like this. Love that little piece. That looks nice. We'll see it when it gets cooled off. Let it soak. Soak up into the heat. That's great. Oh, all right. Now,
You know those clues I mentioned? This isn't one of them.
you go kill my oxygen.
Found yet? This is not a
I'll
stone
be right
circle.
back.
Every region has its idiosyncrasy. That's what fascinates me. All across Britain, you find stone circles, standing stones, cairns, dolmens, barrows, henges. Perhaps these other structures can shed some light on the oddities, such as this one. This little monument is called Men Toll, and myth has it that passing through this hole can cure your ills. It's even said to aid women's fertility. People believe all sorts of things, but in reality, and you'll hear it said a lot on this journey, we just don't have a clue what it was for. What we do know is that even a modest arrangement, such as Men Toll, leaving aside the size of some of the sites we're yet to visit, would have taken considerable time and effort to create. And that scale of time and effort could only be afforded by sizable communities. That's communities of people with a unity of thought. Often hidden away in intimate, secluded settings, the traces of our ancestors can still be found, frozen in time. It would be easy to walk straight past these archetypal Bronze Age maze carvings, but even such small remnants give us tantalizing glimpses into both the mundane and the more mystical aspects of their lives. It's partly because we tend to look out for big, impressive monoliths that many important signs of our ancestors' day-to-day lives sometimes pass unnoticed. Here at Routor on Bodmin Moor, the remains of a Bronze Age village is almost lost in the landscape. But a closer look reveals the true scale of the site, which was probably home to large numbers of people.
Fucking chilly. Fucking chilly. Now it's chilly down here. What's up?
Out on open moors are often the remains of what could have been huge ceremonial sites, like the three-circle complex of the Hurlers, long since absorbed into religious folklore as men turned to stones for dancing on the Sabbath. Many smaller sites, like the gleaming white quartz circle further south at Dulo, can be easily missed.
Be right back.
Tucked away behind hedges and farm walls, people pass them by unknowingly, leaving them to be appreciated only by the local inhabitants.
Dartmoor is one of my favourite places in the whole of England, and I've been exploring here for over 20 years. 365 square miles of rolling moors with a huge variety of prehistoric structures. It's so unspoilt in archaeological terms that it gives us a much clearer idea of what the whole country used to be like. Miles of moorland covered in stone circles, cairns and kists, settlements, barrows, standing stones. And these stone roads are a bit of a mystery. And Dartmoor has the greatest concentration anywhere. There's over 60 of them dotted across the moor. And of such variety, they must have had lots of different functions. Here, I'm at Merivale, right in the middle of Dartmoor. And this site has a bit of everything. There's settlements all around. There's hut circles over there.
Had to kick on my laundry
There's
too.
a big stone circle with a huge standing stone.
Fucking good time for the dryer to come on. It's fucking cold.
Dotted all around.
Not
And these stone
upstairs.
roads,
It's cold
right
down
in the
here. I
middle.
gotta babysit my kiln a little bit
You
more
want to see what's in the middle of this row?
before I can unplug her.
It's only small, but this little funereal box called a kist does imply that this was a processionary pathway. So what do we have here? A temple in the centre of a big community?
In many cases, the rows lead to cairns or stone circles, but of all the rows across the moor, none of them
Strawberry
point in the
over
same
grape
direction. Some
pie.
people have theorized that they may have had astronomical alignments, but frankly,
That's really
a
some
line
good
will
stuff.
always point at something. And there's so much inconsistency that the idea doesn't hold
Strawberry
water.
hash
It seems much
over
more
grape
likely
pie and
that the rows
marijuanas.
didn't relate to anything
Oh
outside the
wow!
community.
I got the burn
There's
and
something else
tickle
to
of
bear in
the
mind.
fucking Durban too.
These barren landscapes
Wow, that's some good
are
stuff.
entirely the work of our farming ancestors. About 12,000 years
You gotta
ago,
love
the whole
Colorado
moor was
and
covered in
legal
forest,
marijuanas.
and it was about this time that
I do.
hunter-gatherers began felling trees to make the first clearing. The reason was simple enough. If you can encourage animals to graze in the clearings that you've made, then hunting is a much, much easier job. So people would stay around their hunting grounds, settlements would develop, until about 4,000 years ago, domestic farming had become a way of life. So did these rows lead people across open moor or through dense forest?
See, I'm tired. What time is it? Well, it's about 2:20. 3 o'clock. Good time to
Up
go
on
to
this
sleep.
high ground, you get a real sense of the past, spreading out across the landscape are all the signs of a fully rounded community.
Here, we're on the southwest side of the moor, on top of Guttertor. Way over there in the distance is Higher Hartlepool. And you might just be able to make out down there the Drizzlecombe Stone Rows. These wonderful evocative names are sometimes the lingering legacy of a long forgotten history. For instance, over there behind Higher Hartlepool, there's a valley called Evil Combe. I really wish I could tell you stories of black magic and ritual sacrifice, but actually the name comes from the valley's tin mining past. And an evil was just a short-handled pick that the miners used to use to extract ore from the rock. So sorry to disappoint on that one, but still looks fun in the kids' phone. Let's go and have a look at those roads.
I don't like the narrator too much. His humor is lacking. Oh my goodness. Anyway, he's historical. He shouldn't be humorous, right? He's showing your hometown. I don't even know if I want to get in on that conversation. Oh. I'm too old for all that excitement. y'all youngsters.
Look at that little fist we saw in the middle.
Perfect Bronze Age example. About 4,000 years old. And basically it's the same process. It would have held the remains of an individual or even a family sometimes with a cut stone, and then the whole thing would have been covered with a mound of earth. This is Yellowmead, just north of Gussator. You can probably see up there behind me where we were earlier. And this place is incredibly unusual. It's a quadruple stone circle. It's strange, there's no alignment amongst the stones that suggest astronomy. And there's no central kist to suggest an elaborate burial. Just need an exotic ring. Our theories.
Fucking stuff. Children. It's a turn step.
I think it looks like a village hunting practice. Nearest bit of the middle wind. That's what it is. 10 miles to the east is another oddity that leaves you wondering. This is the Greyweather's double stone circle. They're probably early Bronze Age, about 4,000 years old, and when they were excavated in 1898, both circles were found to be strewn with ashes. No one knows whether it was from cremations or domestic burning, or how old the circles were before the burning took place. They're aligned north-south, the southern circle being slightly bigger, and it's been suggested that they were a place for the gathering of the clans. But I think that's silly. You wouldn't create a neutral territory and have one side bigger than the other. We can only guess what they were for.
People to hang out.
Crazy. You go from falling over stones round every bend to really having to hunt them out. It seems strange that moving east through England, you find less and less sites. But actually it says a lot about our ancestors through the ages. When communities are
Feels pretty good to sit down.
settlements continue to develop.
Chair.
People only
like
move to
this
new
chair.
pastures
Holds
when
my
the
back
land
nice and
stops
tight.
providing. And in the West Country, that's exactly what happened. Even today, there's very little building because the land just isn't hospitable. Fortunately for us, though, it means that our ancestors' hard work is still there to see. When you look at the development of societies in other countries, it's clear from places like the Great Pyramids or the Acropolis that the cities have continued to develop without enormous cultural movement. Most other cities in the world have grown through either knocking down or building over the ancient structures. In places where those ancient monuments are still there to be seen, they've lost their original meaning, but somehow they've kept a level of importance for the people. Of course, that could just be a question of wonder. You have to ask, would the Great Pyramids still be there if they'd only been 30 feet tall?
There's a lot of them that are only about 30 foot
Sometimes,
tall.
like Nine Stones in Dorset, our ancient monuments stand neglected by the roadside.
virtually unnoticed by passing motorists,
Maybe this guy
and
has it.
unvisited by all but the enthusiast. The passing centuries have left many ancient sites with a mysterious anonymity. We respect them, but we don't understand them, and their social importance has long since disappeared. We protect them and ignore them in equal measure. Knowlton Henge is a perfect example. This Bronze Age site is part of an enormous settlement that sprawls across the surrounding countryside.
That's kind of funny name change.
It's hard to see a lot of it now, but this raised mound originally rose an astonishing 17 feet out of the ditch around it.
I got messed.
The careful placing of this Norman church would have been a very powerful way of putting an end to any earlier non-Christian goings-on. Now, its crumbling ruin sits like a weary trespasser on unguarded land.
This is the Chestnuts in Addington, Kent, and I wish I had one of these in my garden.
It's the remains of a Neolithic long barrow that was used well into the Bronze Age, and there are other sites like this in the southeast. Not far from here, the remains of another long barrow called Cauldron looks out across the open hills and moors which haven't changed much for thousands of years. In and around towns that have been changing constantly for hundreds of years, the land has been progressively divided into smaller and smaller plots, so structures were pulled down as their relevance in society faded, no longer showing the way so much as simply in the way.
Thankfully not here, though.
It's easy to see how history covers its tracks, especially in cities. The constant redevelopment can leave few signs of buildings from decades ago, let alone hundreds or thousands of years. So you may well wonder what on earth we're doing in the middle of London, and what there could possibly be to see here.
You'd be right. Absolutely nothing. Almost nothing. There is something here, unnoticed by passers-by, and all trace of its importance long forgotten. In here is the London Stone. Truth is, we don't know its origin, but we do know that it's been here for a long time, and it's actually part of a much bigger stone that was broken here in the 18th century. We also know that it's been moved back and forth across the road in the last few hundred years. But few possible clues remain in folklore. There are stories that say that it was once part of a stone circle on this site. Others say that it was the pillar, or the top of a pillar in Brutus'
Hang on a
palace.
second. I want to refresh my memory as to what I said on my last video. Richard, finally, Dazzler agrees build rotation is not possible. See, we've gone over this. I've made the video. Dazzler made that Calgary says Orion should be doing. At all. For fucking up. And you don't belong over here. Okay, that's what I thought I said. And I'll know if you're over here and I haven't watched everything over here. Okay, I thought I was clear on that.
Also, reputedly, the stone to which all measurements were made to London. So if you see a milestone that says London 27 miles, it's to here. You know, there are thousands upon thousands of prehistoric sites around Britain. And if you just count stone circles, nothing else, just stone circles, there's nearly 1,000 of them. It's incredible that out of all those sites, most people only seem to know this one. Now, obviously, I'm not being dismissive of Stonehenge itself. Just the fact that when visitors come to marvel at the imposing monoliths, they miss the scale and significance of the entire complex. There are literally hundreds of prehistoric sites spreading for miles in all directions. Earthworks, long barrows, avenues of stones, burial sites, and the massive cursors, they all show that this was a huge, thriving community. Woodhenge, a couple of miles northeast, is the remains of a complex timber structure, probably an enclosed circular building which sat on its own raised mound, long since flattened by ploughing. West Kennet Long Barrow to the north, at 350 feet long, is the largest chambered tomb in England and Wales. And a little further north again is Silbury Hill, the biggest man-made mound in Europe. It's estimated that to build this giant would have taken 500 men working every day for 10 years. The term henge.
So for about 3 hours today, I've dealt with this young lady and trying to be real cool. She hands me Gematria, and I'm all like, she's all like, it's all biblical. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it. I said, I've made videos explaining it. And, I finally told her, I said, if you haven't seen all my videos over there, you don't belong over here and you're not really welcome. And and this is on the video I just played. I had to see if I had actually made that clear or not because I couldn't remember. I was pretty sure I did. And she's actually on this video sitting here getting mean with me, talking about, oh, I thought your Catfish's Corner was just for pipe blowing and long live streams. What you got? Educational entertainment videos instead of angry? I mean, that's what got me here. So she says she's not sticking around to be bullied. She refuses. And she said she never donated. And well, that's fine. It's cool. I'm just saying, I'm not here for socialization over here if you haven't learned this stuff because she has eaten up 3 hours of my time. Talking stupid shit that I've covered extensively in previous videos and just couldn't get the hint that I was trying to be nice to her. And now all of a sudden I'm bullying her. So I had to make it clear that right here on this fucking video, I'm pretty sure I made it clear that there's parameters to be over here. And this is my work. This is where I hang out with people that have learned who we are, what situation we're in, and fucking et cetera, et cetera. I don't have patience anymore for fucking people like that. She's got a. It took me. It seriously. A very long time to scroll through her page of subs, and it was like everybody I've made a video about. They talk about everybody online has their own theory and says that their own theory. I was like, and they all do this. This is what we do over here after you've learned what I proved over there. And if you don't go over there and fucking learn, you're not welcome. Period. I don't have theories. I don't throw theories out there unless I'm asking you something like, watch Orion with me. It's doing odd things. I'm not taking pictures of fucking raindrops on my cameras, calling it spaceship. And telling people that ghost satellites or spaceships fucking flying into the sun. Jesus Christ. I almost died. And people were talking about it last night, and somebody brought me that shit in the morning. I made the mistake, clicked on it. Word of God, man. Y'all know how to wake up a motherfucker grumpy. Jesus. I got 15 Gina clips talking about this wall. Or that many fucking leave clips or Magnum clip. Whoever's making fun of me that day. Good morning to you too. Let me have my coffee. Oh my God. And she's trying, all right. She's trying every nerve I got. Jesus. That woman won't go away. I watched what she was doing one day. And on her fucking on her Facebook thing, she had posted some shit. She was doing this shit, and every time a fucking raindrop, she had like pollen or some shit from her fucking trees on her fucking lens, and that shit was coalescing around them fucking things. She was like, "Look at our spaceship in the sky." I'm like, "You're getting rained on, you dumb bitch!" Oh my God, I got blocked. Wow. I'm like, oh, okay. She knows. I didn't call her a dumb bitch. I just said you're getting rained on. There's fucking raindrops on your camera. That's why you're seeing that. Blocked instantly. She just disappeared off my screen. I was like, she obviously knows. She's a fucking liar. And she's still pawning them off, and you can still see the raindrops on her fucking lenses. I guess that's how it goes then. That's okay. I've got policies here. You're easy to get blocked over here. You talk too much and you don't learn enough. I love talking to people that know about the moon, know about our hearts and everything, but I made this channel. I'm tired of all these links to all these people I was getting all day. I haven't even paid attention to fucking angry catfish. I'll do it for like days at a time. I don't give a fuck. I try really hard not to download anything there. Have I ever been embarrassed for someone? Several times, yes. I had hundreds of people coming back at me with this guy that I had sent thousands of people to, talking about cold moonlight sucking fucking heat off of the planet. I was embarrassed for him. I was embarrassed for me and everybody I'd sent to him. And then I started looking at the other shit he'd been putting out this last couple weeks, and I'm like, what the fuck? Freaks me out. And then now Gina, I see her purposely doing this shit. She's fucking. She knows what she's doing. Do I feel sorry for her? It makes me want to cry that people would actually listen to her. She has people actually convinced that goes this was reading the sun. And all that shit going on is the sun, not us, not Earth. That's worse than Blue Kool-Aid ever was. At least he knew it was the Earth. For fuck's sake. There ain't no faking that. Come on, man. Gina ain't that fucking stupid, is she? Really? Is she that fucking stupid? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think she's that fucking stupid. But what kills me is she's actually got viewers on her page that are. So I mean, so what am I supposed to think? Is that real? Is that real what I'm looking at? And she's going on about that. Talking about in my spirit, I don't think this is actually Earth. And I'm like, she thinks it's the sun, she says. We got shit that reads the sun. Why in the fuck would that not have the how did she does it? She doesn't explain the bow shock or anything like she just can then her viewers over there. Did you read the I read the comments. That's why I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding. It's like flat Earth, man. It hurts. It causes pain in this region of space for me. It's like holy fuck. Trying to imagine how people can fucking believe this shit, and I'm looking and I'm trying, and it's making me want to vomit. I'm like getting upset. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you what? Jesus. It's insane. No, DK, no. I've never followed her. Me and her. I mean, that ended on Facebook. I didn't even know she had a fucking YouTube until people started sending me this ISWA shit that she's doing. I just found out this morning. How's that? How's that for? I found out this morning she has a fucking YouTube channel. I just. Yeah, I covered it. I don't even want to talk about her anymore. I really, really don't. I hope nobody ever brings me anything from her again. My God. It caused me physical pain to look at the. It was like a flat Earth video. I'm not kidding you. I was trying. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, holy, are you fucking kidding me? How? Professor going to dance with? No, I ain't going to dance with her. She's married, right? Isn't she married? Or has her husband left her because she's fucking stark raving fucking insane? I don't know how that works. She's married. See, there you go. I ain't dancing with that woman. He helps her. Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Change the fucking subject. God. Fucking tidal waves and earthquakes, please. God. Oh my goodness. I mean, how do you look at ISWA and its Earth, and you got your magnetosphere going on, and you're telling people it's the sun? What is that? What is that? That's doing who a favor? That's horrible. That's horrible. That's fucking horrible. That's seriously horrible. That's worse than field rotation. All that activity going on back there, she's equating. No, this is the sun. And she'll show you a picture in Soho, and then it's like, and then you see this thing back here in the ISWAS. Looks the same thing. I swear this is the sun. This isn't Earth. I almost blew out my donut, man. I was like, started convulsing and shit. God. I was, oh, it renders you pain. Well, I guess, but I mean, she knows it's Earth, or well, she knows it's supposed to be Earth, but she feels in her soul, she said, that, or in her spirit. My bad. She says, in my spirit, I feel like it isn't Earth, it's the sun we're looking at. Because looky here in Soho, and then looky here over here in Iswas, it looks like that's coming out the sun. And I'm like, that's how she associated that to. It's not Earth, it's the sun that Iswas is feeling. She knows she sat there and debunked Iswas. Sonia, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't even know the lady had a fucking YouTube channel, and I honestly, I don't even. I didn't expect any of that this morning. It's still causing me physical pain in the top of my head. I don't even want to deal with it. Kidding me? That's just. She got 50,000 people over there wanting to talk about how that's the sun and believe it. I can't. I can't. I can't. I've proven every word I've ever said, and that's all I've found all these answers. It's all I ever care to do. I'm not gonna fucking compete with Gina and try to correct her willfully, indignantly ignorant followers. It gives you heart. It gives you heart. Gives me heart. I can't do that. I can't. It's not my job to educate these people or to put up with them over here in my corner. I don't want them coming over here, so I'm going to leave her alone. I got enough trouble with Lee and Bobby over there. I don't need her to fucking get me on the radar. Yeah, I'd have 1,000 people over here wanting to talk about. I don't know, whatever they're going to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I'd rather just blow glass and talk like we do every night and have a good time and talk about the moon flipping, how to wake up your families and shit, and shoot different ideas between us about stuff. But and tell those stories, do things you do. I know you guys have good time in here when I'm not even here. That's why I made this channel. That other channel is getting to be too much for me. I just, I really, my God, did you see what we discovered over there? And people can't go back and look at it. I don't want to look at them. I just leave them over there. Well, over here, see, this is different. We can hang out. I don't have to explain everything. I did over there. We can have fun over here and learn what this was for. My God. Talk about cow farts and shit. Cow farts infiltrating Venus swamp gas. Venus saturated swamp gas. That's the kind of shit we do over here, damn it. Sit around and smoke some marijuanas and blow some glass. I can't do that if I'm fucking debating somebody's religion. Or politics. If you got questions about that, I got real specific videos on that. Your red and blue division, gonna be the death of you or some shit like that. That's pretty damn. I bring contracts to it. I don't speculate on it. I bring you the contract. I'll show you where to find it. Nah, I ain't gonna take it away, but I ain't gonna let. I ain't, man. Like I said, I just had this lady. She's a nice lady. I still haven't blocked her, but I'll let her know. Look, on the very video you're on, I've explained what this channel is. It is for glass blowing and hanging out, but it's not for people that haven't found out what the hell we figured out, because that's just I don't want to talk about it with somebody that hasn't. And I know you and Sandy. I mean, you've been there for fuck through this whole process of watching this develop and watching me learn, and you've been learning right along with me. You know, that's sit and chill and talk about this. You know, but not everybody has, and they should go back and fucking do that, because not because it's anything I did. It's fucking information that we have lost for centuries. That's if that ain't enough, then fine. You know, don't come over here. That's their choice. I just I don't want to hang out with everybody. Never have. Well, you've also learned and went out and look. I see you doing your homework. You know, we've known each other for damn near the whole time I've been discovering all this crazy stuff. Insomnia. I mean, it just happened in the last year and a half, 2 years. Now, people like poor old Greg, that motherfucker's been around for about 8 years now, getting abused by me, drug her. I've blocked him a couple of times. He's gone through some rough patches in his life and gotten through them, though. You know? So, I mean, he ain't blocked no more. I love Greg. I respect him for doing what he's done. And he's a good man. But yeah, he's been there for 8 years. Poor guy. If you can imagine, he's seen everything I've ever posted on fucking Facebook. He is. He's a good guy. He is. Like I said, he's gone through some rough patches and he's got through them. He's a good man. He's proven that he pick himself up. I really, really respect Greg. Fuck, he can climb high. That motherfucker, he's one of them damn steel workers, man. He be getting up. Oh my god. No. I've seen pictures. Well, I'm like, no, dude, you're fucking crazy. uh-uh. I don't give a fuck how much they pay, and I ain't getting all the way up here. No. And no again, capital N. No. Fuck that. Mm-mm. Yeah, no, I don't. I couldn't do that. Fucking, he took a video and posted up on this damn shit one time. I couldn't even watch half of it. I had to turn it off. I can't. I couldn't even watch it. I really couldn't. I told him too. I was like, dude, I couldn't even watch that shit. I couldn't even watch it. I was like halfway through. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. He does love it. I have a very intense fear of heights. Crippling fear of heights. You're Greg. Oh, fuck. Making me feel like jumping backwards. Fuck, I don't know edges. No edge. No edge. Fuck that. Fuck that. No, I can't imagine jumping out of an airplane either. Not a perfectly good working one. I don't care how many parachutes I got on my back. He talked me into it. He said, "Up there, stone." That's a man. Ain't no way, no way. See the elevator ride, man. They would kick me out of the elevator ride. Up, telling you right now. They'd be bringing it back down. They'd be like, "Fuck this motherfucker." I would have shit my pants. I'd shit my fucking pants. I'd scream and cry and become a permanent part of the fucking elevator. You guys would have to wrench me off of that motherfucker once you got it down. I ain't kidding you. My fingers wouldn't want to let go and I'd have shit everywhere. There ain't no, oh my God, yeah. I'd die. Inside out. I would just shit inside out. No, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I had last time I was in a fucking motel down there in Galveston. It was one of them fucking beach motels. It was up on like the 15th floor. Even inside, man, I couldn't take it. I was like, man, I just, God, I didn't want to be there. I'm I'm glad I'm not alone when, because I'll tell you what, it does just unnerve me greatly being off the ground. I wouldn't want to walk any kind of steel. I walked a damn 2x4 wall in a 2-story fucking house, man. That's not my favorite thing in the world to do. I one story on the internal. I can do one story. I can do one story on a 2x4. Walk that shit backwards. Pull my trusses up. All that good shit. With fucking 2-story, you're getting too high for me. It's more. Yeah, it is morning for most people. Nah, it's still evening for me. I'm fixing to go to bed. It's 3 o'clock. We just got done putting together one of the things I was working on yesterday. I want to get the 2-piece Sherlock with a mica insert. I want to get that fucker done. waiting on my laundry though, so I'm taking a shower. Yeah, it's Friday, isn't it? We begin December next week. Exciting. People are expecting us to all die. What date are they saying it's the solstice? They're saying it's the 21st or something like that, isn't it? Not 25th now? Or some of them are saying the 25th, some of them are saying the 21st. Oh, shit. I know, right? Don't they say that every year? And October 21st. They always say October 21st, too. They always give the 12/21. Is that the magic date, Assandia? Your dog woke you up. He's sick. Are you going to bed too, Win? Next week, DK. Have a good night, Win. It's late for me too. I'm going to bed here momentarily. I just heard my buzzer go off on my dryer. They give the Jewish holiday. Well, yeah, they have holidays. Oh, I got you up. Dog settled down. Cool. Not a surprise. I mean, probably reacting to the magnetosphere. Patches was pacing half the night up and down the steps. Every time I look at it, it looks crazy. A lot of crunch. Little double induction going on. Closed field lines, interaction, entanglement, and backfill. You know that charge coming in. They try to explain this with a rip or a tear in the magnetosphere. And number one, you can't, that's not a thing. You can't tear fucking magnet field like that. And two, it wouldn't change the fucking charge. This is negatively charged energy. Definitively the totally opposite scale of what's coming in from the sun. But I've heard people say that. That's what's going on behind. Like, dude, that doesn't explain closed field lines and all that crunch and all that. There's 1,000 things that shit doesn't explain. If you don't know what you're looking at, you can find yourself over on Gina's channel. That's why I want everybody to do their own homework. Go look at all the videos that I laid out because it's got definitive proof of these things that I say, and once you go out and you learn these things, you're never going to be misdirected. It's only in their benefit. I ain't asking nobody for anything except to go learn Lost in Space. You know, I feel a little lost in space myself, Sandia. I'm not sure where we're at in orbit. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't think the corn has either. What I can tell around here. Shit. Fuck, man. What are you gonna do? Well, I think we're all gonna be okay on December 22nd. I just gotta throw that in there. But we're starting December next week. We'll find out soon. The moon's still up. Yeah, it was still up for me too when I went out there and turned off my oxygen. Tycho had rolled up about 9 o'clock, and that I think it's Mars. It was kind of near it. But it was on the top to the right. Now it's down to the bottom of the right at the moment. I was on Vincent's page, and he was out there filming the moon. I told him, I said, look, that planet's going to be down over here later tonight too when he goes and films it. So I'm gonna go check see what he did in the morning because he said he was gonna film it later on his last film he was making with the moon on it. I like that guy. I totally met him randomly, and I guess you've known him for a while. Fucking, I was looking for people that had time lapsed full moon so I could get me some Tycho crater footage, and he was one of them. And there you were. Small world. But yeah, he's onto that. He's onto it. He said he was gonna go film it again later. So I wanted to make sure that he knew that to watch that planet because that fucker's gonna be on the other side of the fucking moon too. Even though the moon's doing cartwheels, so's the rest of your sky. So hopefully he read that comment. I don't know. He doesn't get too many views, does he? He should. He does a good job out there sky watching. I think he does. Anyway, I'm glad he started noticing because, like I said, I used his footage. I try to help. If I go anywhere and I'll search somebody's footage or something like that, I let them know what they're trying to help them. Does he? I never paid attention. He doesn't get too many views, though, I don't think. It's warm, huh? It's been unseasonably warm here. I am not complaining about as cold as it is at night. Because I'm snug as a bug in a rug over here usually. Speaking of which, y'all have yourselves a good evening and a good day. I'm gonna hit a pillow. I'm gonna fight with it, and then I probably got about 400 pounds we'll eat up in the morning because I need to get me a new tank for the weekend. so I can stay busy. Y'all have a good evening.